Joined at the Hip. Written by Liwen Y. Ho. Narrated by Skye. Chapter 1. September. Behind every successful man is a surprised woman. Marion Pearson. How is my handsome, amazing, and successful son-in-law doing? I roll my eyes as a chipper voice speaking in Mandarin fills my ears. The high-pitched clicking sounds of mahjong tiles echo in the background. It's a rare day when I don't catch my 65-year-old mother in the middle of a game, and even rarer still for her to express more interest in me than Henry, which makes today yet another usual, perfectly unsurprising day. One of these days, it'd be nice to have a little surprise in my life. He's not your son-in-law, Ma, I answer, shocking myself with my loud, insistent tone. I lower my voice and glance around the coffee shop I'm in. Thankfully, the folks waiting in the long line ahead of me are all preoccupied with their phones, and the other customers in the cafe are too busy typing away on their laptops and drinking their lattes to pay me any mind. My cheeks still flush, though. I haven't spoken like this to my mother since my angsty teenage years, which were over 2 decades ago. Moreover, I never correct her. I don't know what's gotten into me this morning. Taking a deep breath, I pray for patience. I mean, he's not your son-in-law yet. But anyways, Henry is fine. He's been really busy with work. Of course he is busy. He just started at this new job a few months ago. Plus, he works for a Fortune 100 company. Not Fortune 500, but 100. She emphasizes with pride. I can picture her perfectly drawn-in brows wiggling up and down as she smiles. Do you hear that, Mrs. Hu? My future son-in-law works for Moonbeam Corporation. Moonbeam Corporation, repeats a haughty female voice belonging to my mother's longtime mahjong buddy. I use the term buddy loosely because theirs is a love-hate relationship. Mrs. Hu and my mother have played together almost every single day since they met at the senior center in Mountain View last month, but their competition goes beyond the mahjong table. Sorry, Mrs. Yu, I've never heard of that company before. Never heard of? Are you kidding me? They are the biggest manufacturer of toilet paper in Asia. They make the best kind. A pause comes over the phone as my mother mumbles under her breath. I wonder 2 things. 1, if she's in the middle of figuring out which mahjong tile to discard, and 2, when, or if, she'll remember that she's left her one and only daughter hanging on the line. Speaking of lines, the literal one I'm in moves forward, urging my feet to follow. I crane my neck to get a look at the chalkboard hanging behind the counter, but there's a head blocking my view. A head of thick black hair belonging to a tall man wearing a black bomber jacket and jeans. A head that, while attractive, would be even more so if it weren't obscuring the menu. I consider stepping to the side to get a better look, but I don't want to risk losing my spot. It's a dog-eat-dog world when you have a bunch of uncaffeinated people gathered in one place. I'm not a die-hard coffee connoisseur myself, but I know the kind. They look down on office coffee for being too weak and bland, but hey, it's free. As far as I know, that's the best 4-letter word in the dictionary. When I do venture out to a cafe to pay for a drink, it's to order tea. And today, it's to order a pumpkin spice chai latte, which, fingers crossed, they have in stock. This item is my must-have for fall and the perfect way to turn an ordinary day extraordinary. I know, I'm well-versed in living life on the edge. With now only 2 people ahead of me, I decide it's time to end this one-sided phone call so I can get ready to order. Ma, good luck with your game, but I need to... Here it is! Feel it! Just like silk, right? What? It takes me a second to realize my mother is speaking to Mrs. Hu. Funny how her frenemy gets more of her attention than I do. My mother continues to gush. Isn't this the softest toilet paper you've ever touched? Ma! If there's ever a good situation for a facepalm, it's this one. I don't know whether to be amused or horrified at my mother's behavior. Are you still carrying around that roll of toilet paper you took from my place? Of course, daughter! My mother acknowledges me once again. I tell everyone I meet about the wonderful product your boyfriend's company makes. Once people feel the toilet paper, they all agree it's the softest one they've ever touched. Moonbeam's CEO should pay me for all the free advertising I'm doing for them. Ask your friend Berkeley to get me a bonus. Oh my. I've made up my mind. I am definitely more horrified than amused. My mother's request is a bit much, even for her. Berkeley's the CEO's personal assistant, but I don't think even she has the authority to do that. And anyways, only employees get bonuses. You don't work for Moonbeam. Fine. Tell them I will take more free toilet paper then. They can include it with the ones they send you. Ma, I don't get toilet paper for free. I buy it myself. You don't get it for free? What's the point of dating Henry then? I take a deep breath. I'm sad to admit that this question has crossed my mind more than once lately. But not for the same reason my mother is asking it now. A relationship can't be based on free TP, or any other product for that matter. Although I'm not at all opposed to getting free stuff, but the real freebie I long for is time. Time spent together without any interruptions. It doesn't have to be in person. I'd settle for a video chat, phone call, or even an extended text exchange. Something that would show me that Henry's thinking of me instead of the job that has taken over his life. At this rate, I may have better luck asking him for a lifetime supply of toilet paper. Before I can come up with a good answer to my mother's question, I hear Mrs. Hu's voice above the clicking of mahjong tiles. Your future son-in-law cannot compare with my amazing son, Mrs. Hu. He is not only tall and very handsome, he is smart and creative too. He works in the city as a writer. Doesn't that sound fascinating? Fascinating? My mother balks. What's so fascinating about being a writer? It's my turn to balk. But, Ma, I'm a writer. Oh, right, you are. But you are a woman. You don't need to provide for the family. Mrs. Hu, my mother directs her attention back to her friend. Tell me, how is your son going to support his wife and children if he is lucky enough to find a woman to marry him? Ouch. My mother's not one to mince words with me, but she usually has more restraint with non-family members. Maybe mahjong buddies fall into a special category. I can hear poor Mrs. Hu's speech faltering on the other end. I've never met her before, but I feel a sense of camaraderie as well as an obligation to help her, which means speaking up against my own mother, twice in one day. Maybe it's not such an ordinary day after all. I wipe a damp palm along my winter coat. Even though it's still autumn, San Francisco's known for its brisk and chilly weather. Much like my mother's salty attitude. I've dealt with it enough, though, to know how to respond. Sweetening my tone, I speak as respectfully as possible. Ma, if Mrs. Hu's son is as fortunate as Ba is, he'll find a woman who's as smart and capable as you are. You worked 2 jobs to support Ba when he was in med school. He wouldn't have had a successful practice for the past 30 years without your support. A brief pause comes over the line, but I can sense my mother's mood lightening. You are not wrong about that, daughter. How did you get so smart? Because you are so smart, Ma. I know. Whoever said flattery will get you nowhere has never met my mother. I can picture her biting back a giddy smile behind her poker, or should I say, mahjong face. My quick thinking has saved not only Mrs. Hu's and her son's behinds, but my own as well. There is no doubt my mother will be in a good mood for the rest of the day, assuming she doesn't lose. Ma, Mrs. Hu declares triumphantly. Uh-oh, I spoke too soon. Ma, she calls out again. Not only does Mrs. Hu win, she wins with a larger hand because she drew the winning tile herself, which is what mo means. It's great news for Mrs. Hu, but a disaster for everyone else. The other 3 players owe her even more money. Lovely. My mother's mood is no doubt ruined now. No! She cries in dismay. I was waiting for that tile too! The 2 women start yapping like chihuahuas fighting over a fire hydrant. Wincing, I pull the phone away from my ear and wonder if I should try to talk her down or let her be. Experience has taught me that doing the former will win me brownie points, but as much as I love the ooey gooey fudgy dessert, what I'm craving now is pumpkin spice, not chocolate. My mother will have to wait. Leaving the call going, I slip the phone into my tote bag and move to the head of the line. Without that tall man blocking my way anymore, I have a clear view of the menu. And there it is, my favorite drink. Extraordinary day, here I come. Hi, I'd like a medium pumpkin spice chai latte, please. Hot with extra whipped cream and a dash of cinnamon on top. The young barista with curly hair stares off into the distance, unblinking. Like a woman who just discovered the dollar section at Target, she squeals with glee. She doesn't even flinch when I clear my throat. Am I not loud enough? I try again, this time injecting more enthusiasm into my words. 1 medium hot pumpkin spice chai latte. Extra whipped cream and cinnamon on top, please. The exclamation points in my voice do little to break the spell. Her brown eyes still have a longing look in them that now makes me more curious than annoyed. What could be holding her attention so well? I follow her gaze until I spot the source of distraction. Aha! It's that head of hair again, the one that had been blocking the menu. I narrow my eyes and gasp when his profile comes into view. Realization shoots through my body like a double shot of espresso. The prominent nose, chiseled cheekbone, and clean-shaven jawline are all features I regularly come face-to-face with 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Seeing my coworker outside of the office, in the wild, so to speak, is a whole new experience. He stands at the condiment counter with a container of cinnamon in his hand. He adds a few shakes of the reddish-brown powder to his cup, then caps it with a lid. With quick, precise movements, he grabs a coffee sleeve, squeezes it open, and places his drink inside of it. He takes a long sip, then strides out of the cafe, but not before holding the door open for a woman pushing a stroller inside. The exhausted-looking mother perks up at his kind gesture, and her little girl stops fussing and waves at the man. Wow, no wonder the barista's so distracted. This guy is as magical as caffeine and Santa Claus combined, and the effect he has on women seems to follow him wherever he goes. What a hottie, right? The barista exclaims. She finally breaks out of her trance and takes my order. Sorry for the wait, ma'am. I just get so distracted whenever he comes in. I can understand why. Is he a regular? Oh, yeah. He comes in every morning and sometimes in the afternoon, too. He says the office coffee doesn't cut it. He has the sexiest name, too. Tristan! Doesn't that sound princely? I fight to keep from rolling my eyes. I actually know him. He's my coworker. No way! You're so lucky. Lucky, sure. The man she's starry-eyed over is not the bright ray of sunshine she assumes he is. At least not in the workplace. The Tristan I know is more like one of those disclaimer clauses they include at the end of a drug commercial. Tristan who is not for everyone. Side effects may include but are not limited to high blood pressure, heartburn, acid reflux, upset stomach, and death. Take it your own risk. I hate to burst her bubble, though, so I bite back the snarky remark on the tip of my tongue. Lucky is one way to look at it. I bet it's a struggle to get any work done with him around, right? She must pick up on my hesitant tone because she offers me a sympathetic smile. What does he do? He's a writer. Wait a minute. He also has the same last name as my mother's mahjong buddy whose son is a writer. Tall and handsome, smart and creative. He works in the city, too. What are the odds? My shoulders tense. I sure hope he didn't overhear the phone conversation I had with my mother. The last thing I want is for Tristan to know I came to his defense. His head is big enough already as it is. Literally, too. Any bigger and he'd have blocked out the whole chalkboard. To be fair, it is a nice head of hair, but that's the only nice thing about him. Other than his smoldering good looks, broad shoulders, and... Anyways, I digress. It's time to think about more pressing matters, like getting to work on time. As I leave the cafe with my prized drink in hand, something tells me that today is already no ordinary day. When I get a voicemail from my boyfriend minutes later, the notion is cemented in my head even more. All thoughts of Tristan flee my mind as excitement takes over. Maybe, just maybe, my mother will get her wish for a son-in-law after all. Chapter 2. Tristan. Sometimes the best part of my job is that the chair swivels. Unknown. I'd recognize her voice anywhere. Bright and pleasant, gentle, yet matter-of-fact. As soon as the woman behind me started talking, I recognized her as my colleague. That's when I decidedly tuned her out. Not because I'm a stand-up guy who prefers not to eavesdrop. No, I know myself better than that. I'm as curious as the next person, especially when the topic of toilet paper comes up. Okay, I might have overheard a word or two, but when it comes to September U, I steer clear of anything having to do with her. It's nothing personal. All right, maybe it is. I just don't understand her. She's the type of person who's too positive for mankind. Always smiling and ready to greet you with a, "Hello, how are you?" The worst part is that she sticks around waiting for you to reply. Like she cares. Actually cares. It's not normal, to say the least. The rest of us mere mortals don't even consider talking until we've said hello first to our old friend Darkness, aka coffee. Me? I need several cups of joe a day just to be mildly sociable. A brisk walk with said coffee companion doesn't hurt either. Inspiration always strikes when I get blood pumping in my veins. That's one of the reasons why I'm taking the 1-mile jaunt to the office today by foot. Saving money on gas and parking is the other. Since I left my last, much higher-paying job, along with a very different lifestyle, I've cut back on a lot of unnecessary expenses. My emotional baggage, however, still manages to give me a side-eye from the dark, abandoned corner where it sits in my heart. Oh well, such is life. I make my way down the crowded sidewalk, weaving around folks dressed in monochromatic business attire. Car horns honk, and the heavy smell of exhaust hangs in the air, much like the fog covering the tops of the skyscrapers. The scene is typical for a weekday in the city. Busy, vapid, and impersonal. Just the way I like it. My cell phone in my jacket pocket vibrates with an incoming call. I fish it out and check the screen, surprised to see my old college roommate calling me this early in the morning. "Hey, man," I answer. "What time is it over there?" "G'day, T." He greets me with a cheery Australian accent. "It's 9:15. Why do you ask?" I glance at my watch. 9:15? That's my time. Aren't you in Australia shooting a movie? No, brah. I wrapped that one up 2 days ago. I'm back in California, dude. Surprise. I raise a brow, impressed at how quickly his lingo from down under morphed into surfer speak. Being friends with an A-list actor like Brad has given me a front row seat to all sorts of perks and quirks. I appreciate him for more than his profession, though. He's one of the few people in my life who's seen me at my lowest, and still stuck by me. I'm sure it's not because of my shiny, happy personality. Brad has the charisma of Betty White and Denzel Washington combined, plus the patience of a saint. Maybe that's why he doesn't mind hanging out with someone like me. Welcome home. How long are you back for this time? For a while. I'm doing some research for my next role. Undercover stuff. He emphasizes in a mysterious tone. You'll be seeing a lot of me for the foreseeable future. Great. I pause at an intersection and wait for the signal to change. Ahead of me is a young couple, more than likely tourists based on their casual clothes and number of selfies they're taking. When they capture themselves in another photo mid-kiss, I can't help the loud groan that escapes my lips. Just when the sight gets too much to bear, the light changes and the couple crosses the street. I keep a safe distance of at least 6 feet between us, so as not to get infected by their PDA. I don't care what medical professionals say. The love bug is the deadliest bug of them all. Don't sound too excited now, Brad replies with a heavy dose of sarcasm. I didn't expect a party, but this is a bit lackluster, even for you. Have you not had your coffee yet? Sighing, I glance at my now empty cup. I did. That reaction wasn't about you. It was for a couple in front of me who were being much too affectionate. Oh, I see. Anywho, Brad's smart enough to move on. Both of us have been burned in the love department, so we understand it's a taboo topic to talk about. Much like politics, asking a woman her age or whether pineapple should be a pizza topping. The answer to that last one is obviously no. There's actually another reason I called. He clears his throat before continuing. I need a favor. Shoot, you know I'd do anything for you, man. Anything. Can I get that in writing? Yes to the first question, no to the second. I bite back a smile when I hear Brad chuckle. You better hurry up and make your request before both of those answers turn into no's. And here I was thinking the caffeine had finally kicked in. Brad's laugh grows louder. All right. All joking aside, here's the deal. I need you to come. Huh? A motorcycle zooms by, drowning out the rest of Brad's words. I press the phone to my ear as I strain to hear him. I need somebody with discretion, someone I can trust to keep information private and who thinks fast on his feet, someone who works well under pressure. A horn honks nearby as a driver yells out the window at the car in front of him. Apparently, I'm not the only one struggling this morning. Hey, Brad, I didn't catch everything you said. Come again? I'll pay you whatever you want. Money's no object. You know how important it is for me to find the right person for this job. That's why I'm asking you, T. What do you say? I furrow my brows as I round the corner to the street where my company is located. The noise level here is much quieter, so I can finally hear Brad. I'm more confused than ever as to what he's asking of me. I say, based on the bits and pieces of info that I was able to catch, you're either asking me to do something illegal or something I'll regret. Which is it? Oh, definitely the latter. Wait, I mean neither. His response has me shaking my head. If there is one good thing about Brad, it's that he can't tell a lie. Which is ironic, considering he plays make-believe for a living. Okay, give it to me straight, Brad. What is it that you want me to do that will, end up regretting? Joyful whoops and hollers fill my ear as Brad starts to celebrate. So it's a yes. You'll agree to be my PR guy. Your PR guy? My jaw clenches. So that's what this is about. I wasn't exaggerating when I said I'd do anything for Brad, but even I have boundaries I can't cross. You know I can't do that, man. I'll do anything else. I'll even eat Hawaiian pizza if you want me to. But I'm done with Hollywood. Been there, done that, and I certainly don't want to do it again. Oh no, T, but I wouldn't ask if I weren't desperate. I scoff, pretending to be offended. So you're only asking me out of desperation? Not because I'm overly qualified. That's not what I mean. But you're right. You are overqualified for this job. You could write press releases in your sleep. That's true. I'd worked as a public relations specialist for several celebrities back in the day. It had been fun and rewarding in my 20s and 30s, but unlike cheese and wine, I don't age nearly as well. My body's too creaky and old for parties, and my patience worn thin from superficial relationships. Moreover, I'm happy with my current work. Okay, happy might be pushing it. Let's just say that I'm content. I get to do what I love, writing, and my boss and colleagues treat me well. I have no reason to complain or to change jobs. Listen, I appreciate you thinking of me for this role, but I'm gonna pass. What if I can get you courtside tickets for the Warriors? Thanks, but no thanks. A year's supply of TP. I roll my eyes as I enter the next high-rise building. What is it with folks and toilet paper today? I can get my own, thanks. The doors to the closest elevator open, and I step inside. I lean my back against the mirrored wall and watch the numbers on the panel light up one by one. What if I say you can work from home? Nice try, but I can do that now. I neglect to mention that I actually prefer coming into the office. Why wouldn't I when I get unlimited access to free coffee and Wi-Fi? You're going to have to try a lot harder than that to convince me. Not that you can convince me. Brad sighs. I've got nothing else, man. I was going to say that you'd be able to see my handsome mug every day, but that's not so much of an incentive when your coworkers are way prettier than I am. You're right about that. I laugh as the elevator doors open. One step into the office brings me into the thick of high-pitched voices and clouds of perfume. I'm the movie star, yet you're the one surrounded by women all day, Brad laments. All right, I give up. Go enjoy your entourage. If you change your mind, you know where to find me. Will do. Have a good day. Once the call ends, I head to my cubicle and sit down. Other than the view of the Golden Gate Bridge, this seat doesn't have much to offer, but there is a sense of comfort that I've come to appreciate. My boss likes me and values my skills. I have good working relationships with my colleagues. What more could I ask for? Morning, Tristan! I swivel around in my chair at the sound of that sweet, familiar voice, the one I recognized at the cafe. September greets me with a radiant smile that could power a bolt of lightning. I grunt and give her a curt nod, then release a heavy breath as she walks away. On second thought, there is something I wish I could have. Something that would make my job a lot less hazardous to my health. What is that? Namely, the ability to not be caught off guard by my gorgeous coworker. Taking that job offer might not be such a bad idea after all. Chapter 3. September. If you had to identify in one word the reason why the human race has not achieved and never will achieve its full potential, that word would be meetings. Dave Barry. Some voicemails can change your life. As soon as I hear the one my boyfriend left me on my cell phone, my heart does a little flip. Hi, babe. I'm flying in on Saturday. Save your evening for me. Cheers. My hand flies to my mouth as I replay the message. I turn up the volume so I can hear every syllable loud and clear. There's an unexpected enthusiasm that brightens his usually monotone voice. That's how I'm 99% sure that Henry's going to propose to me. Finally. I'm so excited my feet do a little dance underneath the table where I'm seated for my work meeting. A goofy grin makes its way to my face as I wiggle the fingers of my left hand in front of me. I've been dreaming of this day for years. Almost 3 to be exact. According to my mom and girlfriends, that's 2 years too long. But no matter. It's finally my turn to say yes. I cannot wait. What's wrong? I turn to my right to find the owner of the low, disgruntled voice nodding at my hand. How lovely. My colleague Tristan takes the seat beside mine and tosses his notepad and pen onto the table. We started at Sweet Simplicity, the Bay Area's premier women's magazine, on the same day 5 years ago, both of us with our own columns. Mine focuses on money, and his on the male perspective of whatever theme we highlight for the month. Since we met, he's gotten grayer at the temples, but his mood hasn't changed a bit. His presence always looms in a room like a dark cloud waiting to rain on a parade. There's no way I'm letting him rain on mine today. Nothing's wrong. I flash him a sweet smile as I remind myself of God's 2 greatest commandments. I've been a Christian for 30 of my 40 years, but living out what the Bible teaches is still a daily challenge, especially where Tristan is involved. The man would be so much more bearable without the permanent scowl on his chiseled face. I'm just imagining what my hand will look like with an engagement ring. I'm pretty sure my boyfriend's going to propose this weekend. The infamous Harvey? He arches his thick eyebrows that frame his face so well. Despite his doom and gloom personality, he has nice features with his coffee-colored eyes, thick lashes, and straight nose. The good Lord even blessed him with dimples that peek out as he smirks. And what makes you so sure he's going to propose? It's Henry, I correct, and I can't keep the sarcasm out of my voice. I've mentioned Henry dozens of times over the years, so there's no way Tristan doesn't know his name. As usual, he's trying, and succeeding, at pushing my buttons. I take a deep breath and tuck a lock of my long black hair behind my ear. It's our anniversary on Saturday, and he wants to take me out. Could there be any other reason? Tristan narrows his eyes, then grunts. Yeah. Such as? He got a promotion at work and he wants to celebrate. I scoff. Really? This is all he can come up with? So he's flying from New York to take me out for a celebratory meal? Why not just tell me the news over the phone? It's more than likely a business trip. I'd think twice before you go out and spend money on a new dress. He leans back in his chair and gives me a look like he's challenging me to say otherwise. My hands clench into tight fists. I desperately want to say something back, but my tongue feels like sandpaper. There's a part of me that wonders if what Tristan says is true. Maybe I'm the one jumping to conclusions. No, wait. I can't be wrong. Just because Tristan is a guy who gets paid to write from a guy's point of view doesn't mean he knows how all guys think. Does he? I need a second opinion. But alas, he's the only man in our department. It's an unfortunate situation, at least for the rest of us. He doesn't seem to mind the attention our colleagues pay him, especially the younger ones. Even now, as the other writers and copywriters walk in, they greet him with flirty smiles, like he's some hot celebrity. He gives them a curt nod, playing it cool like he's Mr. Darcy at the ball. Those poor girls. I remember being 20-something and easily impressed, too, by guys with a job and a car who didn't live with their parents anymore. But there's so much more to a man than his paycheck. There's his ability to sacrifice, to commit, and to cherish the woman he loves. One can only hope their expectations grow with age. My insides twist. Have mine? Morning, everyone. Maggie, our boss, calls the meeting to order. I hope you spent your day off working hard to come up with stellar ideas. The room goes silent as everyone attempts to avoid eye contact with Maggie. She's the kind of boss who thinks Labor Day is meant for laboring. As usual, she's all business in a navy pinstripe pantsuit and tortoiseshell glasses. The rest of us are just as professionally dressed, except for Tristan. Somehow he's allowed to live in jeans and black t-shirts, and she doesn't even bat an eye. She does, however, give him one of her rare smiles. Let's start with you, Tristan. What theme do you have in mind for our March issue? He rubs his jaw as he looks around the room. All our colleagues are silent and literally on the edges of their seats, waiting for his answer. Everyone but me. Honestly, after what he said about Henry, I'm not interested in hearing more of his ideas. But that doesn't stop him from staring straight at me as he answers, relationships. It's the one thing people need the most help with. A round of oohs and ahs fills the air. I half expect everyone to break out into applause. No matter what Tristan says, there's always one woman, or 5, who thinks he can walk on water. We all know there was only one man who could do that, and he was God. Tristan only acts like one. My neck grows hot under the collar of my white blouse. His eyes are still trained on my face, studying my reaction. I have a sneaking suspicion the people he's referring to is me. His know-it-all attitude has always gotten on my nerves, but more so today. My first inclination is to put him in his place. I know I should be the bigger person, but it's hard to do when his ego is taking up so much room. We're already covering love for our February issue. What about something related to the changing of seasons, like spring cleaning? Our readers love that kind of thing. Out with the old, in with the new? Not bad. He gives me a condescending smile, like he's talking to a child. That idea works well with relationships, too. Maggie points her pen in Tristan's direction. I like where you're going with that. Tell me more. With pleasure. He has the nerve to flash me a smug smile. I'm thinking we focus on renewal, giving up things in our lives that are outdated, unnecessary, and unhealthy, and incorporating new beliefs, habits, and relationships that are good for us. He nods and leans back proudly in his chair. One would think he'd just shared the key to world peace instead of spouting off some mumbo-jumbo self-help stuff. I can't believe anyone is buying his spiel. But everyone around the table is already jotting down notes. Bravo! Yes, renewal is the perfect theme for the changing of seasons. Maggie's hazel eyes light up as she starts clapping. Well done, Tristan! I fight to keep my jaw from dropping. She just gave him credit for my idea. Okay, so it wasn't completely mine, but I did pitch in. Why does he get all the recognition? Just because he has a sexy voice and smoldering good looks? It was a team effort. He surprises me with a wink. I'm sure September has more great ideas up her sleeve, don't you? My jaw does drop now. Is Tristan actually being nice to me, or is he putting me on the spot to make me squirm? I have no idea, but I'm not going to waste this chance. I flash him a tight smile, then straighten in my seat. It's finally my time to shine. Good thing I did some brainstorming over the weekend for my September's savings column. Yes, my parents named me after the 9th month of the year. Their reason? The number 9, which in Chinese sounds like the word for everlasting, brings fortune. As far as I'm concerned, the reason I'm debt-free is because I'm an expert at being frugal. That's why readers love my tips. How about home makeovers on a budget? I can talk about using thrift store finds such as furniture and clothing and repurposing them. Or we can focus completely on what people already have in their closets. I suddenly remember an article I read recently. Did you know there's a business that helps women upcycle their wedding gowns? It's a fun and creative way to turn a once-in-a-lifetime memory into a piece of jewelry, an ornament, or a christening gown that can be passed down to future generations. I bet this would be a big hit with our readers. I can't help the grin that overtakes my face. I know nothing about baseball, but I feel like I just hit a home run. Now it's my turn to sit back and wait for the applause. And nothing. A few moments pass, and I look around the room, listening to the sound of crickets. My mouth grows dry. I kind of hope a swarm of locusts will appear to put an end to my misery. Well, Maggie nods reluctantly, her brows drawn together. It's a start, but let's keep our theme in mind. We really want to drive home the idea of renewal. Right, we can't forget about Tristan's theme. Oops. My tone is more sarcastic than I intend it to be. I really need an attitude adjustment. It's not like I'm Miss Perfect. I need God's grace as much as anyone. So I choose to put on my big girl pants and focus on doing my job, not keeping score. And that's when a brilliant idea pops into my head. Vow renewals. What about a how-to article on renewing your wedding vows on a budget? Gasps of surprise and delight resonate all around the table. Maggie gives me a thumbs up, making me beam with pride. Her reaction is almost as good as getting the Pulitzer Prize. I am floating on cloud 999 when she says, I want you to do some serious research for this September. It has to be believable. Of course. I'll call around and get quotes from multiple vendors. I'll read all their reviews too and make sure they offer quality services. I want this to be a factual and helpful article for our readers. Then I think it's best if you go in person and try them out. There's no better way to know what a cake tastes like unless you eat it. I wonder if I'm understanding her correctly. You're saying you want me to pretend to plan a vow renewal ceremony? Bingo! But I don't have a husband to renew my vows with. Pish posh, you don't need a real one. Take a friend or a cousin, I don't care whom. Maggie waves her red-painted nails in the air. Just write the article and make it good. My heart sinks. Other than Henry, the males in my life are my girlfriend's significant others, and asking for their help doesn't feel right. The only other guy I know, Mr. I'm too sexy and I know it, is completely out of the question. But something in me, most likely desperation, makes me look over at Tristan. That's when I hear his low, confident voice declare, I'll do it. I'll be your pretend husband. Chapter 4. Tristan. All men make mistakes, but married men find out about them sooner. Red Skelton. I've done some crazy things in my life, including base jumping and barefoot skiing when I was a lot younger. But this has to take the cake. What am I doing getting myself involved with September's assignment? That's the question bouncing around in my head as I grab another cup of coffee after our staff meeting. Through the open door of the break room, I spot her in her cubicle. With her navy blazer and hair curled around her shoulders, she looks as polished and put together as the first day we met. She has the posture of a pianist and the focus of a teenage boy playing his favorite video game. It's impressive how hard September works, even when our boss isn't around. Over the years, her skirts have gotten longer and her heels shorter, but she still has the same eager-to-please attitude that makes her a great employee. In a strange way, she reminds me of myself, the me from 5 years ago when I felt like the king of the world. I had it all back then. My dream job, a new house, and a hot, successful fiancé. That was the me before I got dumped at the altar. Let me tell you, public humiliation is a total game changer. The me today, I'm a lot less limber and energetic at 45, but at least I have my head screwed on straight when it comes to relationships. Which is why it makes no sense that I volunteered to be September's fake husband. I'm wondering how I can get out of this deal when I see her walking toward me. She's carrying the mug I contributed to our Secret Santa gift exchange last year. A plain white one with the words, "Being a writer is easy. It's like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire, you're on fire, everything is on fire." It's my type of humor in a nutshell, and apparently September's too. I remember the way she threw her head back chuckling when she read the print. It was a rare moment of seeing her relaxed and carefree. I liked that I made her laugh. I also hate that I cared. Honestly, I have no business caring about any woman. I'm never getting involved with one again, no matter how amazing she is. "Hey!" September greets me with a small smile. She lingers in the doorway for a second before joining me at the counter. "How's the coffee today?" "Not bad. Not good either." She nods, then asks, "May I?" I follow her gaze to the coffee pot that's sitting to my left. The old me would have been a gentleman and offered to help her, but the current me steps to the side so she can do it herself. The distance also gives me a chance to clear my head of her sweet rose perfume. Go ahead. If she's bothered by my lack of manners, she doesn't show it. She pours herself a cup, adds some creamer and 1 packet of sugar, then takes a sip. "It's pretty good, considering it's free." I scoff. "You slave away here for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, not to mention the time you put in at home. You paid for this cup with your blood, sweat, and tears." "Okay, so it's not exactly free." September eyes me cautiously. "How many cups have you had today?" 3, maybe 4. Caffeine has little effect on me. Crossing my arms over my chest, I lean back against the counter. I play it cool and don't let on that the reason I need so much coffee is because my ex-wedding day is this month. My least favorite month of the year. Another reason why I should keep my distance from September. Which leads me to an important topic we need to address. Ending our pretend marriage before it starts. So, about what I said earlier. "Oh, yes!" Her brown eyes grow wide, drawing my attention. She has such light-colored eyes for an Asian. They're practically a golden brown, like topaz. They're even brighter when she smiles. "I can't thank you enough, Tristan, for offering to help me out. I know this is a pretty unconventional assignment, but I really want to do a good job. The word around the office is that Maggie's going to hire an assistant editor next year. I want to do everything I can to impress her." I swallow the apology waiting on the tip of my tongue. The earnestness in her voice tugs at something inside me. It's my dang conscience again. Ever since I found God, the only good thing that came from being dumped, I've grown soft. I hate to admit it, but I feel bad about disappointing September. If the tables were turned, I'd be grateful for her help. I have a feeling I'll regret my decision later, but I decide to stick to my word. Of course, it's no big deal. She eyes me like I just willingly agreed to walk over hot coals with my bare feet. Yeah, I don't buy my act either. Then again, I'm not exactly the welcoming committee type, so maybe she's used to my general lack of enthusiasm, but she still looks at me with concern. You're sure you don't mind? I mean, now that you've had some time to think about it, I'd totally understand if you want to back out. It's fine. We're talking about you and me driving around town the next few days to different vendors so we can get price quotes. You're okay with that? I shrug, still trying to play it cool. What's not to like about getting out of the office? Nothing, I suppose. It's actually good for us to get some fresh air and vitamin D. There's nothing fun about being cooped up in our cubicles all day. Even kids get recess. I give her a pointed look. Exactly. But what about the part where we... She pauses to clear her throat. Have to pretend to be an old married couple? What about it? I shift my focus to the mug in her hands, so I stop noticing how her cheeks match the color of her lips. You don't mind that part? The only thing I mind is you calling me old. I meet her gaze and smirk. I'll have you know that I'm in the prime of my life. Her brows shoot up. I didn't mean old as in age. I meant mature, like a good block of cheese. Cheese? I've never been compared to a milk product before. I don't know whether to be offended or pleased. Oh, definitely pleased. I meant it in a good way. Did you know that the world's oldest cheese was found buried with Chinese mummies from 1615 BC? Scientists are amazed that it survived that long. You're like that kind of cheese, strong and resistant. Just look at your muscles. I flex my biceps and watch her jaw drop. You've been checking out my muscles? What? Of course not. She covers her eyes and groans. Can we forget everything I just said? Sometimes my mouth has a mind of its own. This is why I'm a writer. She's as red as a fire hydrant now. I kind of like it that I have that effect on her. Again, I shouldn't care, but I do. I was teasing. I happen to like cheese. She peeks through her fingers at me before dropping her hand. Yeah, me too. Only in moderation, though. My body can't handle too much lactose. Same. One of the downsides of being Asian, right? That and tiger moms who think nagging is the only way to show you they love you. The way she avoids my gaze tells me there's a lot she's left unsaid. I don't know why, but I feel for her. It could be because my own mother keeps pushing me to meet someone, even though I've made it clear that I am done with dating. Or maybe it's been so long since I've had a decent conversation with someone my age, I appreciate the connection we share. I have one of those too. Their intentions are good, but their execution leaves much to be desired. You could say that again. She lifts her lashes. There's a vulnerability in her eyes that I'm not used to seeing. I've been thinking about what you said, the reason why Henry's coming back this weekend. I forgot that it's his mom's birthday on Sunday. I feel silly now that I jumped to conclusions. I just wanted some good news to tell my mom. For some reason, she feels like it's her fault I'm 40 and still not married. That's not so bad. At least you didn't get I shut up quick. I can't believe I almost spilled my past to September. There's something about this woman that unnerves me. I have to work harder to keep my guard up around her. So what's the plan? Do you have a list of vendors we need to visit? I'm working on it. She nods eagerly. If she's curious about my sudden change of topic, she doesn't let on. I think the best way to keep the budget low is to ask friends for help. One of my girlfriends just married a guy who owns a huge piece of land in the Oakland Hills. It would be a great free place to have a wedding. She also owns a bridal shop, so I can ask her about pricing for the gown. Those are the two most expensive parts of a wedding. Don't forget the food. That can add up fast. Oh, right. She takes a sip of her coffee as she thinks. Maybe we could go with simple appetizers to keep the cost down? No elaborate 8-course Chinese banquet, then? This isn't my wedding we're talking about. But if it were, my mom would want 9 courses. She is all about the number 9. She even managed to incorporate it in my name. It finally dawns on me why she has such a unique name. That's why she named you September, because the number 9 sounds like longevity in Chinese? Yep, she's very traditional like that. Interesting. I always thought your birthday was this month. She gives me a sheepish grin. That's what I let people think. It's a lot easier than explaining some crazy Chinese superstition. I know God has my back. I don't need to believe in anything else. Good for you. September both impresses and intrigues me, which is not something I can say about most people I know. She's much more than a pretty face. I like how she has principles and faith. She's the type of girl I'd be down to date, if I still dated. This fake marriage, without the possibility of heartbreak, is the only relationship I ever plan to have. Back to food. There's also the cake to consider. Cake! I totally forgot about that. Maybe we could get away with serving cookies or brownies? I'm actually not a fan of cake. My jaw drops. You don't like cake? What's not to like? It's got eggs, flour, and milk, so it's basically a breakfast food, but better. She wrinkles her nose. It's too cakey. As soon as you bite into a piece, it falls apart in your mouth and you need a glass of milk to wash the crumbs down. There is nothing enjoyable about that. I roll my eyes. You've obviously been eating the wrong kind of cake. Tell you what, I'm taking you to the best bakery in San Jose tomorrow to show you what good cake tastes like. Make sure you put that at the top of your list. She blinks in surprise, but a smile crosses her lips. Okay, I certainly won't turn down a chance for free food, but we'll see if you can change my mind. I bite back a laugh. Little does she know I never initiate a challenge I can't win. I offer her my hand to seal the deal. You're on. The moment our palms touch, electricity ignites my skin and shoots up my arm. I jump first, then September does too, and we both pull our hands back. Sorry, I get the worst static electricity when it's windy outside. She pulls out a white cloth from her pocket and rubs it along her arms, filling the air with a floral scent. Who knew dryer sheets were the source of her fragrance? I may never look at laundry the same way again. It's fine. My touch isn't usually so deadly, but be warned, this could happen again. She punctuates her joke with a beaming smile that takes me aback. I don't doubt her words. I actually believe the opposite to be true. For the first time in 5 years, my heart gallops in my chest, like it has a race to win. My body warms under September's gaze, and I don't know whether to feel grateful or alarmed. I settle on the latter. I'd rather have a cold, dead heart than a beating one that can get hurt again. I will help September with her research, but when that's done, I'm cutting ties with her once and for all. Chapter 5. September. Marriage is an adventure, like going to war. G.K. Chesterton. I can't believe my friend is congratulating me on my fake marriage. Her texting game is going strong today with a string of smiley-faced emojis and hearts. This is fantastic, Ember! You're going to be such a beautiful bride. I'm not getting married. This is for research only. But you will one day. Trust me, not all guys are afraid of commitment. I wince. It's no secret that Henry doesn't have the best reputation with my friends. I know Josie means well, but it still hurts to hear her talk about him this way. Or maybe it's the truth of her words that makes my gut twist. Can I just make an appointment? I text back. How about Thursday at 10? That works. Thank you. No prob. I gotta ask, what's your hubby like? He's not my hubby. Your fake hubby, then. Is he cute? Josie. I'll take that as a yes. I send her a final message. Goodbye. I groan and roll my eyes for the second time in a minute. I can picture Josie twirling a lock of her red hair around her finger as she laughs. She's 2 years older than me and likes to take on the role of big sister, which often includes pushing me out of my comfort zone. I'm not in the mood to entertain her teasing. especially not with my so-called fake hubby sitting next to me. Everything okay? Tristan glances my way as he drives us to the bakery he raved about yesterday. The only sound filling his sports car for the last 10 minutes has been the radio, so I'm surprised to hear him speak. Yeah, everything's fine, I reassure him. He's dressed in jeans again, but with a black polo today. It's a rare occasion to see him with a collared shirt, which makes me wonder if he dressed up for me. I mean, our assignment. His thick, dark hair is also different, combed to one side and the wavy ends tamed with gel. With his defined facial structure and confident posture, he is most definitely not cute. Handsome and, dare I say, hot? I suppose so. But there's no way I'm telling Josie this. That was my friend who owns the bridal gown shop. We can stop by on Thursday. Sounds good. And tomorrow's the photographer and florist? Yes. Then the jewelry store on Friday. He nods matter-of-factly, like this isn't the strangest conversation we've ever had. Normally, we exchange a quick hello and good night every day in the office. On occasion, we'll share what we did over the weekend, such as movies we watched or places we went to with friends. We did get into a deeper talk once about 5 years ago about the sermon series my church was going through at the time. But other than that, Tristan and I don't get personal. Which is why the idea of us going wedding ring shopping sounds like a crossover episode of Married at First Sight and The Twilight Zone. How are you so calm? He quirks a brow. What do you mean? You don't even bat an eye at the stuff we're talking about. It's like you've done this before. I suddenly realize I don't know anything about his love life. You're not married, are you? Or engaged? No and no. My younger sister got married 10 years ago, so I picked up some things. Oh, that makes sense. I turn in my leather seat to face him. 10 years ago? How old was she? She's 3 years younger than me, so she was 32. She's now a mom of 4. Wow, 4 kids. What's it like having your younger sibling do things you haven't done yet? I'm an only child, so I wouldn't know, but I imagine it could be strange. It is what it is. I'm happy for her and her family. I study his profile. His smile, open and relaxed, leaves me in surprise. I'm the only one in my circle of friends who isn't engaged or married, and it's not the easiest situation. It's about as awkward as the time I went to a new hair salon and after the stylist asked me what I did for a living, I asked her, "What about you?" Needless to say, I haven't been back since. I admire Tristan's level of contentment. That's good. Both that you're happy and that you have experience with this stuff. Hopefully it'll make things less awkward, especially since we have to pretend to be married. Speaking of, we should get our stories straight in case anyone asks us how long we've been married and why we're renewing our vows. Tristan's quiet for a moment. How about 5 years? That's how long we've known each other. Why? Because we want to celebrate how far we've come and also recommit our marriage to the Lord. My heart literally skips a beat. His words are so beautiful and heartfelt, and exactly what I hope my future husband will say. My non-existent future husband. At the rate things are going, I'm not holding my breath that Henry will propose this weekend. Or maybe ever. I need to face facts. Our relationship isn't what I'd like it to be. Henry and I haven't been in the same time zone since he moved 3 months after we started dating. We talk once a week, but not about anything important. He's always preoccupied with work and climbing the corporate ladder. Whenever I bring up the future, he sidesteps my questions and tells me not to worry. He has a plan. I just want to know how or if I fit into it. Knowing sooner than later would be nice, since I'm no spring chicken anymore. Tristan's response gives me hope that there are still guys out there with their priorities straight. That's the best reason ever. Is a vow renewal something you're going to do in real life someday? No, not a chance. Oh. Straight away, my shoulders sag. Maybe all men are non-committal after all, other than the rare gems my girlfriends found. I must sound let down because he quickly shakes his head. I don't mean it like that. I would care about dedicating my marriage to God if I were going to get married, but I'm not. Why not? Is it because you're 45? My friend Josie's husband was 53 when they met. He jokes that he never thought he'd meet Miss Right with his head stuck in a toilet, but bam, God showed him. Head stuck in a toilet? Is that a new saying? Oh no, Graham's a plumber. He literally had his head... Never mind. I changed the subject when I noticed Tristan's thick brows furrowing. Like I was saying, you're never too old to find love. Thank you, Dr. Phil. Tristan scoffs. I didn't say I was too old. I'm just not interested. Oh. I swallow the rest of my words. This can only mean one thing. He's been hurt before. There's an edge to his voice that tells me so. He's trying too hard to convince me that he doesn't care. He can't fool me, though. I use that trick all the time, especially when I'm a light bulb. That's the Chinese term for third wheeling. I'm a pro at acting indifferent, even in the face of PDA. But deep down inside, okay, maybe not that deep, I feel like the little girl who always got picked last in PE class. I hate for anyone else to feel that way, even Tristan. I get it. There's more to life than relationships. Well, not much more, but anyways. Tristan gives me a look I can't read, but soon his eyes are fixed on the road again. After another block, we slow down near a row of small shops with pink and white striped awnings. One of them has the words "I dough" across the front and a beautiful 3-tiered cake in the display window. Tristan points to the bakery. That's the one. My shoulders relax. I'm more than ready to get out of the tight confines of his 2-seater. There will be no chance of offending him when my mouth is stuffed with cake. It looks like a nice place, and we can park right in front. Downtown San Jose is nearly empty right now. The lunchtime rush hasn't hit yet, so it isn't hard to find a parking spot. But the one Tristan pulls up beside is a teeny tiny space between 2 vehicles. Even with his compact sports car, I have no idea how we're going to fit. Are you sure we'll fit here? Yes. It's a really tight spot. I've got it. There's another one over. I know what I'm doing. Okay. I raise my hands in a show of peace, then sit back to watch the show. It's his car, not mine, so I shouldn't care what happens to it. But I don't like how stubborn he's being when I'm just trying to help. Any sympathy I had for him disappears. I mumble a prayer through gritted teeth, asking for God's help to hold my tongue. Meanwhile, Tristan places one hand on my seat back and looks over his shoulder as he turns the steering wheel. His posture is confident, his expression unfazed. A smirk plays on his lips as he leans toward me. I catch a whiff of his woodsy, spicy cologne, and it reminds me of cozy nights by the fire. I wonder if this is why my body suddenly heats up. Or maybe it's that Tristan's so close now, I'm face to face with his adorable dimple. Ugh. My heart stutters as I shove that inappropriate thought to the furthest corner of my mind. His dark brown eyes light up with a hint of mischief. See, I did it. Huh? That dimple is so distracting. What did you do? Look around. I glance out the window, my mouth falling open. Sure enough, he managed to do the impossible. We are sandwiched into the space so tightly I fear we'll be stuck until one of the other cars leaves. But I'm amazed, even a little proud. It makes me smile to see Tristan beaming, not from cockiness, but joy. The corners of his eyes crinkle, and I catch a glimpse of his boyish spirit. I can't help it. I want to celebrate with him, too. You have some mad parking skills. Good job, hubby. I raise my hand for a high five, and Tristan follows suit. A loud clap rings out in the car, but it's the jolt of electricity between our palms that grabs our attention. We both jump in our seats. I'm about to apologize again for shocking him when a bigger shock happens. His car lurches forward, and we slam into the pink van in front of us. My entire body fills with dread. Oh no. Now where did I put my dryer sheet? Chapter 6. Tristan. Cake doesn't ask silly questions. Cake understands. Unknown. I can see the accident report now. Driver did the most electrifying parallel parking job of his life, but then got sidelined by an equally shocking high five. He accidentally not only let go of the brakes, but stepped on the gas, causing his beloved Audi R8 to crash into the vehicle in front of his. Damage, 2 dented bumpers and 1 bruised ego. The lesson learned here: do not touch September U ever again. It kinda works out that we hit the bakery's delivery van. This is like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. September sits beside me at one of the small tables, rubbing a dryer sheet along her hair, then her blouse and skirt. The fact that she can keep a straight face while she says this boggles my mind. She's either a really good poker player or the naivest person I've ever met. Which part works out? The part where my premium's going to go up, or the part where I can never show my face here again after what happened? My voice drips with sarcasm. I clench my fists under the table and pray for patience. She winces. The part where you get to show me what good cake tastes like? I roll my eyes. We'd just spent the last 10 minutes sorting out insurance info with Hal, a balding man with cheeks as pink as the paint on the shop's walls. He's in the kitchen preparing slices of cake for us. It turns out he recently inherited the bakery from his uncle, the owner I had ordered my ex-wedding cake from. The only thing that kinda works out about this situation is that I don't have to explain why I'm back today with a different woman. Thank God for unexpected blessings. Let's hope this new guy didn't change any of the recipes. His uncle's cakes were the best I've ever had. Did your sister get her wedding cake from here? No, she got married in Texas. Then I guess you went to a wedding that served this bakery's cake? Something like that. She opens, then closes her mouth, like she's debating whether to ask more questions or let the topic go. I'm hoping for the latter, because I'm not in the mood to divulge more. The look she gave me earlier when she was doling out relationship advice, which I didn't ask for, reeked of pity. It irks me that she can see through my facade. I don't like feeling unguarded. I also don't like waiting. Where in the world is our cake? Are you okay? Worry lines appear on her forehead. Her voice is sweet, like the smell of sugar lingering in the air. Still shaken up after the accident? I'm fine. My gruff tone makes her flinch. I immediately regret my poor attitude. It's not like she tried to make me crash. She's also a fellow believer, someone who actually lives out God's commandments. She deserves better than this. I clear my throat and try again. How about you? You okay? She's done destaticking herself and is folding the dryer sheet into a small square. Next, she tucks it inside her beige tote bag that says, "Woman on a Mission." Truer words have never been printed. All that's missing is a lightning rod to symbolize her intent to wreak havoc with one touch. She looks up at me with those bright eyes that rival gemstones. I'm okay. I do feel awful, though, about what happened. It's fine. It was an accident. You couldn't help it. I pause, wondering how to phrase my next question. Have you ever thought about getting it checked out? Checked out? Yeah, by a doctor. Is it normal for you to have that much electricity? She gasps. Are you implying there's something not normal about me? I didn't mean to say it that way. I just think for your own safety and the safety of those around you, it might be good for you to have it looked at. It's static. I can't believe you're making such a big deal out of this. I can't believe you're downplaying the situation. Your not a big deal, just a little static condition made me crash my car. I jerk my thumb toward the store window that looks out onto the street, in case she needs a visual reminder of what happened. She huffs, her cheeks reddening. What if it's you? Maybe your skin's too sensitive or conductive. Have you considered that? You're blaming this on me? I can't believe— Oh, lovebirds, here we are. Hal's booming voice fills the store as he heads over to our table. For some reason, he's now speaking with a cheesy Swedish accent. The large rectangular serving platter in his hands is loaded with 10 slices of cake. He sets it down before us and does a little bow. May I present to you our piece de resistance? September and I break off our epic stare-down to accept the forks he hands us. We both hold them with the sharp ends pointed up like they're weapons. With the tension simmering between us, we might as well be facing off in a cake-eating contest. The thought is so left field, I'd be laughing under normal circumstances. But as I'm discovering, any circumstance with September is far from normal. Bring it on, then. There's no competition I can't win. I wiggle my brows at her and tighten my grip around the cold metal handle. Ready? Of course. You? Always. She regards the platter, then me, her eyes unblinking. Let's do this, then. You're on. We dig our forks into the slices closest to us. Hers is chocolate marble, mine taro. We're about to take our first bites when Hal yells out, "No, no, no, stop! This is wedding cake. You cannot eat it that way." September and I exchange confused glances. We know this is wedding. For the life of me, I can't get the word out. The fact that September is smirking doesn't help matters either. I end up gesturing at the cakes to get my point across. These things. You mean wedding cake? She asks as she giggles. That's what I said. I grit my teeth so hard my jaw aches. I'm as bristly as a grizzly bear right now. Hangry, too. Who is Hal to say I can't have my cake and eat it too? How are we supposed to eat this? You must feed each other. What? Why? September and I blurt out our questions at the same time. She looks as horrified as how I feel. What did we get ourselves into? It is more romantic, of course. Hal eagerly claps his hands. Especially for a couple who is renewing their vows. This will remind you of your honeymoon days. Come, we try it, okay? This request is beyond ridiculous. Come on, Hal. Your uncle didn't have this rule. I would remember it if he did. My bakery, my rules. Hal crosses his arms with a firm nod. He then narrows his eyes at me disapprovingly. What is the problem? You pledged your undying love to this wonderful woman, no? Now 2 pairs of eyes are staring at me. There's a mischievous glint in September's as she holds back a smile. She's enjoying watching me squirm. What happened to gratitude? I'm in the hot seat because of her. Well, technically I got myself into this mess when I volunteered to help, but that's beside the point. The point now is that I want to eat cake. So I do what I need to do to get some. I suppose I did. Then feeding her should be a piece of cake. Hal doubles over, holding his sides. His laughter is deep and full, making his whole body shake. Get it? Piece of cake. Wedding cake. It's the best joke ever, am I right? September is nodding her head, a big grin curving her lips. She seems to genuinely appreciate Hal's humor. You're hilarious, Hal. If you ever decide to retire from baking, you should try comedy. Right, Tristan? That might be stretching. September shoots me a look of disapproval and mouths the words, "Be nice." Seriously? I can't believe she's reprimanding me for telling the truth. Fine. I'm not about to lie, so I try another approach. I'm sure you won't have to retire from baking if these cakes taste as good as they look. Hal seems pleased with my compliment. They do. Go ahead and see for yourself. Remember, feed your wife. My wife, the woman who is lucky enough to have me for a colleague, looks beyond delighted now. She gives me the sweetest, most innocent smile and bats her long lashes at me. Then she opens her mouth, waiting like a little bird for me to feed her. I decide to spear an even bigger bite of taro cake, making sure to get as much frosting onto the fork as possible. Because I'm generous like that. I also hope September gets the hint and gives me an equally large portion. If feeding each other is the only way we get to eat cake, I'm making sure we do this right. I lift the fork and bring it close to her lips. Lips that are naturally pink and full. Her Cupid's bow is the most defined I've ever seen. Not that I have a habit of staring at people's mouths, especially a woman's. It's actually been years since I've focused my gaze on one. but I am strangely mesmerized by how delicate September's mouth is. Not delicate in a frail sense. I'm sure September will have no problems devouring this cake, but delicate in all the ways that mine isn't. The Lord may have taken one of Adam's ribs to make Eve, but he upped his game when he made women. It has been far too long since I've let myself appreciate this fact. But that doesn't mean I'm interested in September. There's a world of difference between appreciation and desire. The former is distant and safe. The latter only trouble. I am not interested in trouble. With a quick thrust of my arm, I stick the cake into her mouth. Her lips close around the fork before I pull it away. I force my gaze down so I won't be distracted by her mouth again, especially not as she licks frosting off her lower lip. My breathing soon returns to normal. 1 bite down, 9 more to go. I can do this. Yum! Hal whoops loudly. That is what I like to hear. Apparently, I like it too. The joy in September's voice pulls my attention back to her face. She's beaming from ear to ear, and I can't help smiling too. I take it you're a fan of taro? Yes. Taro ice cream, taro milk tea, taro chips. I love it all. This is the best taro cake I've ever had. It's so moist. You have to try it. Since her fork still has cake on it, she reaches for mine. She spears a good-sized piece of the purple cake and offers it to me. Here, you're gonna love it. My shoulders tense up. I don't think anyone's ever fed me as an adult. Certainly not my ex-fiancé. She'd been too caught up in her own interests to make time for romantic gestures. Not that feeding each other is all that romantic. Eating is a completely normal and mundane part of life. There's no need to feel anxious about this. That's what I tell myself as I open my mouth. September places the cake inside with a gentle touch. As soon as the sugar hits my taste buds, I sigh. The rich, creamy texture and soft, fragrant aroma make for a great combination. She's right. I do love it. I also don't mind the way she's looking at me with those sparkling brown eyes. Like we're on the same side, and she's happy that I'm happy. This unexpected thought makes my heart do a funny flip. There it is. Hal yelps with excitement as he points a stubby finger in my direction. The romance. I see it in your eyes. And just like that, my defenses shoot back up. I stand and push my chair back so fast it tips over. I've had enough. Then I run out of the bakery like it's on fire. Chapter 7. September. We're all a little weird, and life's a little weird. And when we find someone whose weirdness is compatible with ours, we join up with them and fall in mutual weirdness and call it love. Dr. Seuss. I bet Tristan's still mad at me, so he's standing me up. I groan into my phone as I wait outside the photography studio Wednesday morning. After the bakery fiasco, I drove myself today. It's 3 minutes till our appointment, and he's still not here. Meanwhile, I'm venting my frustrations to Josie and wishing for more sympathy than the laughter I'm hearing over the line. This isn't funny, Josie. I'm sorry, but I still can't get over how shocking your day was yesterday. She stops to catch her breath. You literally have a superpower, Ember. I know. I should call you Lightning Fingers. I already have an unusual enough name, thank you very much. And anyhow, there won't be any chance of me having static today. I brought some heavy-duty kryptonite with me. Dryer sheets? I don't know how effective they are, other than helping you smell good. Maybe I should try that. It'd be a lot cheaper than perfume. Not dryer sheets, lotion. I pump a big dollop of white cream from the family-size bottle in my tote bag. I did research last night. As long as I stay moisturized, I'll be static-free. I'll apply lotion every 5 minutes if I have to. That's no fun. Think of all the enlightening conversations you'll miss out on. My eyes are getting a workout from their rolling. I'll settle for any conversation. Tristan didn't say a word on our way back to the office yesterday. I wanted to ask him what was wrong, but he looked so grumpy I didn't dare. I'm sure he was still upset about his car, although he seemed to snap out of it for a bit when he fed me cake. Wait, what? He fed you cake? Details, girl, I need details. It was Hal's idea. He's the bakery owner and such a sweet guy. He said those were the rules. It's supposed to be more romantic that way. Ooh, was it? Was it what? Romantic! I don't know. I shrug, nearly dropping my phone, which is sandwiched between my ear and my shoulder. I'm literally bent out of shape trying to keep the phone steady while I work the lotion into my skin. I lean back against the store's window front to keep my balance. I suppose if we were an actual couple it would have been. What do you mean by he snapped out of it? Do you think he enjoyed it? Enjoyed what? Ember, are you even listening to anything I'm saying? I am. I just have way too much lotion on my hands. Even after smoothing it onto my forearms and elbows, my palms still feel greasy. If I weren't wearing pants, I'd spread it on my legs too. I need someone to share this with. Give some to your pretend hubby. I doubt if he'll ever want me to touch him again. I stare at my hands in dismay. I might as well have leprosy. You know leprosy is not transmitted through touch. It's not? Nope. Only through nose and mouth droplets, like from coughing or sneezing. Or kissing. Are you planning on kissing him? Josie, what are you talking about? My cheeks flush as an image of Tristan pops into my mind. He does have really nice lips, objectively speaking. But that does not mean I would ever put my mouth anywhere near his. First of all, I'm dating someone else. And second, even if I weren't, this is my colleague we're talking about. I am not kissing Tristan. All right. It was just an innocent question, she remarks in a not-so-innocent way. No need to get all worked up over it. I'm not worked up. Then why is my heart racing and my body so warm? I lift my gaze and use my thoroughly moisturized hands to fan myself. That's when I spot Tristan standing 2 feet away. Oh, he's here. I gotta go. Bye. He's wearing a polo like yesterday, but today's is blue, and he has khakis on instead of jeans. I want to laugh when I see his outfit, because it matches mine. I'm also wearing khakis and a navy polka dot blouse. I'm not sure what his mood is like yet, so I give him a cautious smile. I see you got the memo. He approaches me with his hands in his pockets. Quirking one eyebrow, he nods. I must say, you have commendable taste. Thanks, so do you. He narrows his eyes and points to my phone, which is still stuck in a precarious position. Are you still on a call? Oh, no, I'm just waiting for the lotion on my hands to dry. I don't want to get my screen oily. I hold my hands up and try not to feel as foolish as I must look with my head tilted to the right. From this vantage point, I see everything at a 45-degree angle, including the smirk on Tristan's face. I'm taking extra precautions today. No more static electricity, I promise. As long as I stay moisturized, you'll be safe. His smirk widens. I appreciate that. I release the breath I've been holding. What a relief. He doesn't seem mad anymore. Thank you for coming. After what happened yesterday, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to help me anymore. The thought did cross my mind, but I'm a man of my word. I wouldn't have left you hanging. I'm late because I dropped my car off at the shop and had to wait for a ride here. Oh, I see. I can drive you back to the office later if you'd like. Thanks. He pauses as his expression grows thoughtful. About yesterday, I want to explain why You know what? I can't talk to you like this. Huh? Do you want to sit down The rest of my words die on my tongue. I'm suddenly surrounded by muscles and musk as Tristan steps forward. With one hand resting on the window above my head, he leans close, invading my personal space. My back feels cool against the glass, but heat envelops me everywhere else. I swallow hard as his gaze burns into mine. What are you doing? You're going to get a crick in your neck standing like this. He reaches out and plucks my phone out from between my ear and shoulder. That's better. It certainly is. I can move my head freely and the world is upright once again. But my insides? It feels like a three-ring circus has taken over my body. My head spins while my stomach drops and my heart leaps. Every one of my senses is on overdrive, picking up on the smallest movements and sounds. A slight twitch along Tristan's jaw, the quick rising and falling of his chest, a soft click of a camera shutter. Huh? Perfect! A red-haired woman rushes toward us, her face obstructed by a Nikon SLR. She lowers the camera and greets us with a cheeky smile that lights up her green eyes. You're my 10 o'clock, I presume? I'm loving you guys already with your matchy-matchy outfits. She brings her fingertips to her mouth and kisses them like a chef who just tasted the most delicious cuisine. The two of you are so hot and swoony. I don't know about swoony, but I am definitely hot. So hot. It must be the first sign of the heat wave that's coming this weekend. Or the fact that Mr. Hot and Swoony himself is still in my bubble. He takes an unquestionably long time to step back and return my phone to me. Then he turns around to face the all-too-enthusiastic photographer and offers his hand. I'm Tristan. This is September. Thanks for meeting with us today. It's my pleasure. I'm Molly. Not Stone, not Ringwald, just Molly Frame. With a name like mine, I was destined to work in photography or eyewear. As you can see, I chose the better option. You sure did. I smile as Molly's open, no-nonsense attitude pulls me back to earth. It dawns on me that I have a job to do here, so I might as well get to it. I spoke to you on the phone the other day about coming to check out your packages. It's for our, vow renewal. Oh, yes! Come on in! We follow her inside the studio where she leads us to a table by the window. Seeing the glass immediately reminds me of what just happened on the other side, and my cheeks flush again. My overreaction makes sense, though. It's been so long since I saw my boyfriend, 10 months to be exact, that my body is extra sensitive to being that close to a man. That has to be it. Although I have to wonder, when was the last time Henry ever made me feel so out of sorts? Or if he ever has. Please, have a seat. Molly sits down and gestures for us to take the chairs on the other side of the rectangular table. Tell me about yourselves. How you met, what attracted you to each other, when you fell in love, all that fun stuff. I swallow hard. Fun? More like cruel and unusual punishment. Is this necessary? We just wanted to get some quotes. Molly's jaw drops. Of course it's necessary. As a photographer, I need to understand my subjects. It will help me know what poses to consider and the backgrounds to use. I bet you guys have a great story to tell. It's not that great, really, I insist. You know what they say, if you've heard one, you've heard 'em all. Babe. Tristan gasps loudly. How can you say that after I pledged my undying love to you? I gawk at him like he just announced he's running away to join the circus. As a very sad clown. His pouty face is so on point, I almost believe I hurt his feelings. But I don't miss the way the corners of his eyes crinkle. Something that happens when he's on the verge of laughing. He's messing with me. Likely as payback for yesterday when I enjoyed watching him squirm in the hot seat. Well, two can play at this game. I give him my most adoring smile. I was kidding, love. Why don't you tell Molly our amazing story? You do tell it better. With pleasure. Tristan doesn't even bat an eye. Not that I expect him to. He always appears in control, especially around women. This situation is no different, with Molly hanging on to his every word. He holds her stare and starts his spiel. We met at work 5 years ago. It was a cold, rainy day in October, the kind that makes you want to stay in bed. I had just gotten into the elevator when a woman runs in carrying a yellow umbrella. This thing was so bright and loud, I had no choice but to close my eyes. Molly squeals. The woman was September, and it was love at first sight. Or unsight. No, it was a random lady who worked on the floor below us. Oh, I roll my eyes. The poor girl looks so disappointed, I want to give her a hug. I shake my head in disbelief. For a writer, Tristan's lacking in his storytelling abilities. I decide to give him a hand. Actually, I showed up after the umbrella lady, whose name is Sharon, by the way, and she works in accounting, and see Tristan standing there with his eyes closed. I thought maybe he was praying, so I didn't want to bother him, but I needed to know what floor he was going to, so I whispered in his ear, "What floor?" That's when he opened his eyes and said, 2. The weird thing was that he ended up getting off at 3, because he wanted to follow you and get your number, right? Wrong. Molly looks so proud of herself. I feel bad for bursting her bubble. 3's the floor we work on. I think he just hadn't had his coffee yet that day and got them mixed up. You're wrong, too. Tristan's gaze pierces mine. The reason I said the wrong floor was because you caught me off guard. I didn't expect to see such a beautiful woman standing next to me. Your bright smile and the kindness in your eyes. That yellow umbrella had nothing on you. My heart flutters. Apparently, not only does Tristan know how to spin a tale, he spins it well. Like a spider, he's created a web of lies that I almost fall into. Almost, because I know for a fact that this whole act is fake. Yet, for some strange reason, part of me wishes this wasn't only pretend. Chapter 8. Tristan. Love is like war. Easy to begin, but very hard to stop. H.L. Mencken. I've done it now. I let the cat out of the bag. Not just one, but a whole clouder of them. The curious way September stares at me makes me wish I hadn't embellished my tale so much. Except that I hadn't lied. What I'd told Molly was 100% true. The day I met September was a month after my not a wedding. I'd gotten good at isolating myself from my friends and family and merely existing, but not living. Imagine a pufferfish with its needles poking out and a party hat on. That was me, throwing my own pity party. Then along came September with her positive attitude, forcing me to interact again. I credit her with pushing me back into the water. I suppose my gratitude won out, making me be a little too honest in my storytelling. Hopefully she assumes I was just role-playing, because that is the only thing I signed up for. But it's curious how easy role-playing with September is. It was so good meeting the two of you, Molly gushes at the end of our brief meeting, then gives us both a hug, like we're old friends. I'm looking forward to taking your photos. Thank you for all your help, Molly. September's tone is gracious, though a little sad. It was so nice to meet you. Yes, thank you. I open the door and eagerly follow September out. As easy as it is to play out our fake marriage, it's a relief to get back to reality. Once we're on the sidewalk, she turns to me with a frown. I felt so bad lying to Molly. She's so sweet and talented, too. I wouldn't hesitate to use her if I really needed a photographer. So book her when you and Henry get married. She scoffs softly. Like that's ever going to happen. You said so yourself. He's not going to propose this weekend. My chest twinges with regret. Between the two of us, September deserves a happy marriage, and is actually closer to one than I'll ever be. I dial back my negativity. Maybe not this weekend, but someday soon. He'd be a fool not to hold on to you. She blinks in surprise. Thanks for saying that. And for the other stuff you said back there, too. I know you were exaggerating, but it was still nice to hear. It sure gave my ego a boost. I don't understand why her smile is forced. How is she not more confident? If you're trying to fish for more compliments, I can certainly play along, I joke. But all you need to do is look around. She glances up and down the sidewalk. What do you mean? The strip mall that we're standing in the middle of is bustling with activity. There's a line out the door for a boba tea shop, a couple of moms with strollers going into a bakery, and a delivery truck parked outside a grocery store. But it's the men that I point out to September. one walking with a cup of coffee and another waiting for the ATM machine. See those two guys? They've been checking you out. What? She gawks at me with those sparkling brown eyes that are even lighter under the sun's rays. That's crazy. No, they haven't. Wanna bet? I step close to her until I'm only a foot away. Keep an eye on Mr. Latte there. September glances out of the corner of her eye. Her gaze darts back and forth from the man to me, then back again. Nothing's happening. Oh! With a swift move, I pull her close with one hand on the small of her back. I tilt her chin up with my other hand until we're practically nose to nose. Look now. Huh? Her warm, minty breath tickles my face. The guy with the coffee. Is he still looking over? She breaks off her gaze to take a peek. What she sees makes her gasp. No! Neither is the ATM guy. There you go. I rest my case. I release September from my hold. As soon as we part, an odd sense of longing fills me. Not for her, I reason with myself, but for the comfort of being close to a woman, especially someone as beautiful as September. I liked being her man for the brief moment that she was in my arms, until I remember that Henry, Mr. Doesn't Know What's Right in Front of him, is actually her man. September deserves so much better. Part of me wishes I could make it my mission to show her this, but it's not my place. It never will be. You're really sweet, Tristan. You know that? You're already being so gracious to help me with this off-the-wall assignment, and now you're like my personal cheerleader. That's what colleagues are for. Just know that I appreciate you. I shrug, as if I get complimented like this all the time. Well, I do at work, but my boss's words never make my insides heat up like September's do. She clears her throat. So, earlier, before we got interrupted, I think you were about to tell me about yesterday? Oh, that. I owe her an explanation, but I'm not sure how to go about it. The last thing I want is pity. What I want is to move past that day and no longer let it define me. September gazes up at me with furrowed brows. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it. Some things are hard to explain. Her words fill me up. What I desire is understanding, and she is handing it to me on a silver platter. It's like what the book of Proverbs says about kind words. They're as sweet as honey, and September's are the sweetest I've ever heard. Encouraged by her kindness, I open up. Let's just say that something happened in the past that gives weddings a bad connotation for me. I'm still working through it. She places a hand on my elbow and gives it a soft squeeze. I'm sure whatever it is, God will see you through it. His mercy and grace are greater than any of life's disappointments. You'll see. What I see now is how truly perfect September is. Not that she's incapable of doing wrong. I had neglected to mention that she'd stepped on my foot that day in the elevator, but she's perfect in the sense that if I were looking for a spouse, she'd be it. She's the complete opposite of my ex, Penelope. Sometimes I still don't know what I saw in her. She was part of my BC life, before Christ, a life I'm grateful to have left behind. Tan, is that you? And just like that, my past is back to haunt me. I spin around and a chill falls down my spine when I come face to face with the woman who left me at the altar. It is you! Penelope rushes over in her 4-inch red heels, her blonde curls bouncing around her shoulders. She squeezes in between me and September to plant air kisses on both my cheeks, then waves her hand in front of my face. A hand that boasts the largest diamond ring I've ever seen. Look, I just got engaged to the most wonderful man, one of the youngest billionaires in the world. We're getting married next month, then living in Paris for a year. Congratulations, Penelope. My jaw tightens. Seeing my ex confirms all the red flags I'd ignored in the past. She's still into money and success, two things I never had enough of in her eyes. I see you haven't changed a bit. Why change what's already perfect? She chuckles at her own joke. And you? Still chasing your pipe dream of being a writer like you were when we were together? Ouch. Her subtle jab transports me back 5 years. Like a mean right hook, her words leave me reeling 1 second, then angry the next. I clench my hands and pray for God's grace to be the bigger man. I'm fine. Thank you. He's more than fine. September pipes up beside me as she grabs onto my arm. Don't be so modest, love. Penelope acknowledges September with a scrutinizing glance. And you are? I'm September, Tristan's other half. We work at Sweet Simplicity together. He writes the most popular column in our entire magazine and still has time to dote on me like a queen. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. September stands on her tiptoes and plants a kiss, long and loud, on my cheek. The warmth of her lips sends me reeling, in a good way. I can't believe she's putting herself out there for my sake. I know she's pretending, but it brings a genuine smile to my face. No, babe, I'm the lucky one. You can be the luckiest man in the world, but I'm still the luckiest girl. Fair enough. I laugh, enjoying our playful banter. It's surprising how role-playing with her is more comfortable than real life ever was with Penelope. I suppose it's because I can be myself around September, and we share the same faith and values. I put my arm around her and pull her close. I have to disagree with the girl aspect, though. You're a woman, through and through. Oh, you sweet talker, you. September blushes and pats my chest. I don't know how I ever got so lucky. Oh, wait, I do. I was smart enough to snatch him up and not let go. She gives Penelope a knowing look as she hugs my waist. It's at this point that I realize the proverbial cat I let out of the bag is actually September. She's baring her claws and staking her claim. I'm both impressed and amused to see her behaving so territorially. Penelope, on the other hand, looks less than pleased. She's used to getting her way and having people fawn over her. She tosses her hair over her shoulder, then pretends to check her watch. Oh, look at the time. I have so many important things to do. I gotta run. Ta-ta! She stalks off down the street as we watch in silence. As soon as she rounds the corner, September turns to me with raised brows. That was interesting. I'm sure you have questions. Yes, but it's really none of my business. When you stepped in and volunteered to be my better half, it became your business. Even though my tone is lighthearted, her face pales. She drops her arms and quickly steps back. Sorry, I didn't mean to get so carried away with the acting. Don't apologize. I appreciate what you did for me. It's never easy facing an ex, especially one who left you at the altar. She what? September gasps. That's horrible. I'm so sorry that happened. It's fine. I know now that I would never have been able to meet her expectations, and she couldn't be the partner I needed. My smile is bittersweet, but my heart doesn't ache like it once did. Maybe God is healing me after all. I'm pretty sure I dodged a bullet. I know you did. Can you imagine being called Tan for the rest of your life? Both of us burst out laughing like she had just said the funniest thing in the world. It is funny, but more than that, it's amazing. I can not only talk about my past, I can laugh about it too. All because of September, a woman who is slowly but surely breaking through the walls I built around my heart. Chapter 9. September. A person in love partly becomes a poet, a composer, and the corniest person in the room. Unknown. I'm starting to realize that I'm not so good at playing pretend, or putting on a wedding gown. I suppose it's a good thing I'm not getting married anytime soon. Josie? My voice comes out muffled since my head is currently stuck in what seems like 5 pounds of lace. The dress Josie convinced me to try on, even though I only came to her shop for pricing info, looked pretty on the rack. But it reminds me of the Anaconda documentary I recently watched. I'm pretty sure it wants to eat me alive. After 10 more seconds of struggling, I give up and try calling for help again. Josie, are you there? The dressing room curtain opens with a swooshing sound and a loud laugh. Girlfriend, you're doing it all wrong. You're supposed to step into the gown, not put it over your head. Now you tell me. I sigh, feeling like this situation is a perfect analogy for my life right now. The relationship I have with Henry, while far from ideal, is real and ongoing. But the marriage I have with Tristan, both fake and temporary, is the one I dream about. Yes, my pretend hubby has started invading my dreams with his smoldering gaze and deep, sexy voice. My mind keeps replaying the moment he pulled me close yesterday. Then the one where I kissed him on the cheek. The memories of both seem so surreal. I wish I could fall asleep this instant so I could experience them again. Anything to escape the constraints of my reality, especially this dress that has swallowed me whole. Here we go. Josie gives the gown a gentle tug and finally frees me. She frowns when she sees my face. What's wrong? Is the dress that bad? I have plenty of others if you don't like this one. I'm not one for melodrama, but I'm on the verge of an emotional meltdown. Hot tears prick the corners of my eyes as a lump grows in my throat. Running on 5 hours of sleep and no caffeine isn't for the faint of heart. Or those over 40. I throw on my denim t-shirt dress, then plop down onto one of the folding chairs in the corner. When my hand touches the metal, I immediately get zapped. That's the last straw that gets the tears falling. Ugh! It's the dress, my static fingers, this assignment for work. It's pretty much my whole entire life. Oh boy. Okay, so it's not the first time Josie's seen this side of me, but only one of a handful of times in our 20 years of friendship. Is it that time of the month? Ugh. So maybe I have these meltdowns a little more frequently. But today's isn't because of hormones. Exactly. No, it's not that. What is it then? I sigh deeply and wipe my eyes. It's time to admit something I've been lying to myself about for the past year. I just don't want to hear the "I told you so" spiel I'm sure Josie can't wait to deliver. But it's time I faced the truth. I think I need to break things off with Henry. Oh! Josie's smile is one of relief. I've been praying that God would talk some sense into you. I pause, waiting for more, but she's strangely quiet. Too quiet. Aren't you going to say more? Like how I should have known this relationship wasn't going anywhere and how I've been hanging on because I don't want to be single again, especially not when you and the rest of our girlfriends are all taken. I think you've said all there is to say. She shrugs, then goes about putting the flesh-eating wedding gown back on its hanger. That's it. That's it. One thing Graham's taught me is that I don't have to always speak my mind. Sometimes I just need to let God do his thing. He's a lot better at changing people's hearts than I am, don't you think? Okay, who are you and what did you do with my friend Josie? Her shoulders shake with laughter. I'm going to take that as a sign that God's changing my heart too. I stare at her in wonder. I'm really glad you met Graham. You're like a different person now. Not that I didn't love you the way you were before, but you know what I mean. Yes, I do know. He rounds out my rough edges and helps me enjoy life more. I'm a lot more patient because of him. Nicer, too. Hey! She fakes a pout and puts her hands on her hips. I'm just agreeing with you. It's fun teasing Josie, but I truly am happy for her. Knowing that she found love again after a broken engagement gives me hope. Maybe my better half, whom I now know is definitely not Henry, is out there somewhere too. As soon as the words "better half" go through my mind, a familiar dimpled face pops up. Oh no. All this role-playing is messing with my head. I can't believe I'm even thinking about Tristan this way. He's my colleague, not to mention someone who's made it clear that he wants nothing to do with relationships. I can't blame him. I'm sure I'd have a hard time opening myself up to love after what he went through. Poor sweet Tristan. What woman in her right mind would give up a man like him? Earth to ember! I feel Josie's dark brown eyes on me. Sorry, I was just thinking about someone, Work-related, of course. Speaking of work, I can't believe you didn't bring your pretend hubby to come meet me. There's no point when you already know I'm only here for research. Not this part, though, I clarify, pointing to a garment rack filled with more anacondas disguised in lace. I really don't need to be trying on wedding gowns to write about their pricing. It's all part of the experience. And fun, too. Don't tell me you're not curious to see what you look like in one. Not really. Her red hair sways as she cocks her head to one side. You're not a very good liar. I mean, I did before I realized how heavy they are. It's a workout just getting one on. I can't imagine walking around in one. Josie sighs like she doesn't know what to do with me. That makes two of us. I'm torn. Torn between wanting to find love, but also ready to throw in the towel. I've been off the market for 3 years now, and dread the thought of jumping back in. I wish there was a way for God to just bring the right guy to me. Someone who gets me and vice versa, and is ready for marriage. That would be such a blessing. On second thought, it'd be nothing short of a miracle. I know! The excitement in Josie's voice gets my attention. Huh? I have the perfect dress for you. Hold on. She's out of the dressing room before I can protest. No matter. Once Josie gets an idea, there's no use trying to talk her out of it. I decide to check my work emails while I wait for her to return. Just as I swipe my phone open, a new message comes in from Tristan. How's your research going? Better than our staff meeting, I bet. I can picture the smirk on his face. It's going. Don't tell me you're bored already. Or just grumpy you didn't have your coffee yet. Both. How do you know me so well? Maybe I'm just as bored as he is, but I find myself typing out a silly answer. Because I'm your wife. Or did you forget about me already? 3 text bubbles appear on the screen, flashing as he types, then disappearing when he stops. I wonder if my joke was out of line and he's going to report me to HR for harassment. 5 more seconds crawl by before a text pops up. You mean my wife? I would never forget about you. My lungs fill with air again. I'm relieved that Tristan gets my humor. That's good to know. Not that I was worried. I'm shockingly hard to forget. I add a laughing face emoji to the end. Don't quit your day job. The rolling eyes emoji he sends next makes me smile from ear to ear. I kinda love that Tristan and I share our own inside joke. I text him back. Can you picture it? Me and Hal the baker doing stand-up together? People will be moved to tears. Are you trying to kill me, Laupo? I don't know how much more I can bake. I laugh at first, but then my heart flutters. Seeing Tristan use the intimate Chinese term for wife surprises me. I know he's pretending, but what if he wasn't? Here we go! Josie pokes her head through the curtains before walking in with another gown. Try this one on. I hold it up, surprised at how different the style is. With its small scoop neck, lacy 3/4 sleeve bodice, and short A-line skirt, the gown is classy, yet understated. This almost doesn't look like a wedding gown. Once I attach the train, it will. Josie assures me as she helps me change. The process is quick and easy, and way less lethal than the previous dress. After she zips me up, she attaches a short train to my waist and positions me in front of the full-length mirror. Oh, Ember! This was made for you! A thrill shoots through my body when I see my reflection. She's right. The gown fits me perfectly, both in size and style. I feel beautiful and regal, even priceless. I know it's just tulle and lace stitched together with thread, but this gown embodies the longing inside me. The longing to be someone's partner, to love and to hold and to cherish him for the rest of my days. A longing I hope and pray comes true. It's perfect, Josie. I knew you'd love it. Let's get some pictures. Josie grabs my phone and starts taking shot after shot. After 4, however, she stops to give me a disapproving look. Can you try to look a little less miserable? Okay, fine. I squeeze out a smile and strike a pose with my hands on my hips. With each click of the camera, I loosen up more. Pretty soon, I'm hamming it up with dramatic expressions and awkward model stances. We also have fun taking selfies together. Our impromptu photo shoot ends, though, when the store phone rings. "Here, have a look at yourself." Josie hands me my phone before running off. That's when another text comes in from Tristan. "I haven't keeled over yet, in case you were wondering. Or did you forget about your husband already?" "Not a chance, Lao Gong." I used a similar term of endearment in Chinese for husband. I smile and continue typing. "I just got sidetracked by a wedding dress. Do you want to see?" Tristan texts back, "Sure." I choose a couple of photos Josie took and send them over. My heart drums nervously in my chest. I'm realizing that I kind of care what Tristan thinks of me. Okay, I'll admit it. I care a lot. He's grown on me like a pair of new shoes that gets more comfortable with time. Like fancy heels that make me feel beautiful and sexy and, cue Shania Twain, totally like a woman. I like the way we banter, and I love how there's more to him than his gruff and bossy exterior. The vulnerability and honesty he's shown me is refreshing, and his sweet and thoughtful side makes me long for more. I have no idea if more is even possible with Tristan, but if I expect his reply to give me any hints of how he feels, I shouldn't hold my breath. He texts back with one word. Nice. Nice? That's it? Chapter 10. Tristan. Marriage is our last best chance to grow up. Joseph Barth. I can't figure September out. We were joking around yesterday via text, then her messages stopped being funny. They became one-word replies until she got back to the office, where she stayed cooped up in her cubicle for the rest of the day. Up until an hour ago, I wondered if we were still on for today's visit to the jeweler's. I finally got a reply from her, letting me know to meet her at Golden Jade at 9. It's my turn to wait for her outside the store. I bide my time, swiping through my phone to check my emails on the stock market, then the daily news. The one thing calling for my attention, my photos, is the one thing I avoid, until I can no longer suppress my longing. I click to open the album where I saved the pictures September sent me yesterday. My mouth goes dry as soon as I see her smile. She looks perfect, ethereal. It's not just the fact that she is a beautiful woman, but she radiates pure joy in that white gown. My chest twinges, knowing how happy she will be on her wedding day, and how happy she will make the man who is smart enough to hold on to her. How happy she will make Henry. My gut twists. I hate realizing how much I've missed out on, how much I will continue to miss out on with September. If only I'd gotten my act together before she had started dating Henry. If only I hadn't wasted the opportunities I had before to get to know her better. If only my jaded heart had healed sooner. The irony here is that September is the one who helped break down my armor. Without her work assignment, I wouldn't have experienced how wonderful it is to be in her world. Yet this pretend relationship will be the death of me. I'm in over my head, feeling emotions I haven't let myself feel in years. Considering dreams I had tossed aside when I'd been tossed aside. Wanting more in life. Marriage, raising children, serving God, and growing old together. All with a wonderful, God-fearing woman by my side. "Morning, Tristan." The woman I was thinking of jogs up to me, her high heels clicking on the pavement. September looks ready for a party in a black sleeveless dress. She has on more makeup than usual, but it suits her well, especially her bright red lipstick. She offers me a smile that makes my head spin. "Sorry I'm late." "You're not the one who's late. I am," is the answer on my tongue. Instead, I pocket my phone and reply, "No problem. You look really nice today." "Thanks. You too." She gives my polo shirt and khakis a brief once-over. What looks like disappointment flashes in her eyes before she gestures to the front door. "We should go in." I almost swallow my tongue when she walks in front of me. The back of her dress is low and open, revealing her smooth, creamy skin. Now I understand why the cars driving through this plaza are slowing down as they pass us. My protective instincts kick into gear, and I catch up to her side, throwing an arm around her shoulder. I consider pounding my chest and releasing a primal growl, too, but think better of it. September is already giving me a questioning look that makes me drop my arm. I thought your back might get cold, I explain as I open the door and follow her inside. I'm fine. Her tone is as serious as her expression. For someone who's not cold, she sure is a pro at icing me out. I still don't know what I might have done to upset her. It's a good thing today's the last day of our role-playing. Welcome! A salesperson, a middle-aged lady with short gray hair, calls out to us from the back of the store. She sets 2 cups of tea on top of a long display case and waves us over to sit down in the plush chairs across from her. My name is May. How can I help you? I'm Tristan. This is my wife, September. The words flow off my tongue so naturally, I almost believe they're true. We're here to look at wedding rings. As with all the Asian-owned jewelry stores, this entire place is well lit to show off its extensive selection of gold necklaces and rings and jade jewelry. September peers inside the case and points to a pair of gold bands. Something simple, please. How much are those? May makes a tisk-tisk sound and shakes her head. Those are too plain for a good-looking couple like you. How about these? She proceeds to take out 2 silver bands, both with Chinese characters engraved into them, and sets them on a velvet cloth before us. September leans in for a closer look. What does it say? I pick the smaller ring up and read the text from left to right. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Song of Songs 6-3? September sighs. What a perfect verse and such perfect rings. They are, I agree. Quite unique, too. Of course they are, May chimes in. I picked good ones for you. Go ahead, put them on. September shakes her head adamantly. No, it's okay. We just wanted to get some pricing info. Just try them. If you like them, I will give you a special deal. May adds with a wink. I bet you like special deals. September pauses to bite her lower lip. It really depends on the situation. I hold back a smile. It's adorable how she's having such a hard time answering. Her innocence is another thing that endears her to me. What my wife is trying to say is that she is the queen of special deals, but she doesn't want to take away too much from your commission. Do not worry. As long as my customers are happy, I am happy. May grins, then looks at me. You picked a good wife. So frugal and kind. Beautiful, too. You must buy these rings for her. I would like to. I motion for September to give me her hand. Let's see how it looks on you. It's really not necessary. Lao Po, please. My pleading tone must convince her. She glances at me curiously, then places her hand over mine. But before our palms can touch, she pulls back. I can do it myself. I don't want to shock you again. I don't mind. In fact, I would be ecstatic if you did. September groans so loudly, another salesperson runs over to see what's wrong. Soon, she's laughing so hard her eyes tear up. That was a good one. You keep surprising me with how funny you are. You should know by now how brilliant your Lao Gong is, I deadpan. Now, your hand, milady. After taking another deep breath to calm herself, September places her hand gingerly in mine. Her warmth permeates my skin, heating up my entire body. There are no sparks, at least not the electrical kind, but once our gazes connect, a magnetism grows between us. I can't take my eyes off her any more than I can stop my heart from beating. I've never felt this way about a woman before, and I'm afraid I never will. I don't know what to do with myself except to pray. Lord, I would very much like to make September my wife. I promise to love, treasure, and protect her for all of my days. This is my vow, if it be your will. Tristan, the ring? September's voice wakes me from my stupor. Oh, yes. I slide the band onto the ring finger of her left hand. The action feels like a precursor to something bigger and grander. At least my heart hopes so. A romantic relationship is the one area I still struggle trusting God with, but I know I have to place it in his hands. Wah! May and her colleague both exclaim. It looks so good! It is rather nice. September holds her hand up to admire the band. There's a wistfulness in her expression, a distinct sadness. I can't help but wonder what she's thinking. Just when I'm about to ask, she turns to me with a smile. Do you want to try the other one on, just for fun? Of course. Here, let me. She picks up the larger ring and takes my hand. Her touch is gentle, yet purposeful. Once the band is in place, her fingers linger on mine for an extra beat. I miss her touch the moment it leaves, and I find myself reaching for her hand. Let's see them together. Oh, okay. She places her hand on top of mine, so our ring fingers are side by side. The bands reflect the light coming from above, showcasing the words that I hope will one day come true. Beautiful rings for a beautiful couple. May claps her hands. No resizing needed. How wonderful! Now we can talk about pricing. Oh, that won't be necessary. We only came to look. September begins to remove the ring. Thank you for your help. But I can give you special— Oh, be careful! Her eyes grow wide when she sees September struggling with the band. I'll get you some cold water. While May runs off, I turn to September and offer to help. Let me see. It's okay, I've got it. Let me help you. There's no need. Her finger is red and swelling more by the second. Laupo, please. The sales lady isn't here, Tristan. You can stop pretending. What if I don't want to? My question hangs in the air, the gravity of my words filling the silence. Her hands still, and she glances up at me. There's a tenderness in her eyes that I've never seen before. What are you saying? What am I saying? Half of me wants to reveal everything on my heart. The other half feels like the ring on September's hand, stuck and immovable. My brain is on overdrive, running through the consequences of both options. It's hope and love in one corner, fear and regret in the other. But when the match bell rings, I don't need to watch the fight to know who wins. I predict it will be a total knockout. What I'm saying is that seeing those photos of you in that wedding dress made everything real. You looked so beautiful. You are beautiful, September. Everything about you makes life richer for me. I don't understand. You said I looked nice. Nothing else, just nice. Saying that was my way of protecting myself. I didn't want to admit the truth, that I've been falling for you ever since that first day you walked into the elevator. She gasps. You have? I nod and take her hand in mine. I wasn't ready then, but I am now. I want to live again, to fight again. For you, for us. I'm ready to conquer my fears and walk in faith. I want to do it with you, September. There's nothing I want more. Worry fills me as I wait for her reply. The only sound that cuts through the silence is a bell jingling. This time for real. It's the door opening. September's face pales as her gaze travels past my shoulder to the front of the store. What is he doing here? Chapter 11. September. If love is the answer, could you please rephrase the question? Lily Tomlin. I have a bad case of emotional whiplash. My heart is racing from hearing my pretend husband say he wants more. The fact that Tristan just told me he's willing to face his fears, with me no less, makes my heart swell with joy. But my mind is reeling from seeing my real boyfriend walk into the jewelry store. Henry isn't supposed to arrive in California until tomorrow. But more importantly, I was supposed to call him after work tonight and talk about our relationship. This is not how I imagined things playing out. Here we go, some cold water for you. May sets a large soup bowl down in front of me, then takes my swollen hand and dunks it into the icy water. "We will get the ring off, don't worry. We can talk pricing while we wait." "September?" Henry's deep voice cuts through the air, followed by the sound of his pounding footsteps. In a matter of seconds, he's by my side, wearing a tailored shirt, navy dress pants, and a look of bewilderment. "What are you doing here?" Now it's not only my hand that's frozen, it's my tongue. She is looking at rings with her husband." May cuts in matter-of-factly. Bless her heart for trying to help, but she doesn't know she's just opened up a can of worms. Or maybe a can of anacondas. Henry glares at May, then at Tristan, his nostrils flaring. "Her husband? I'm her boyfriend." Yeah?" May and her colleague gasp and start whispering to each other behind their hands. Their eyes stay glued on us, no doubt waiting for the juicy details to start spilling. Meanwhile, Tristan has gotten up from his seat. He towers over me, staring at Henry with his arms crossed and chin held high. Henry meets his gaze head-on, or does his best to, despite being half a head shorter. I'm stuck sitting between them, surrounded by more testosterone than I care for. I stand up, finally finding my voice. "Henry, it's not what you think. Tristan's helping me with a work assignment. We're just pretending to be married." "Pretending? That's why you have wedding rings on?" "Yes, I mean, sort of. It's a long story." "I have time. Why don't you explain it to me?" "Yes, explain it to him, Laupo," Tristan demands as he places his hands on my shoulders. "Excuse me?" Henry is practically breathing down my neck as he leans over and points a finger in Tristan's face. "What did you just call my girlfriend?" My head throbs. I feel like a referee in the middle of a boxing ring, trying to keep the fighters in line but failing miserably. I say a prayer for wisdom to know how to handle the situation. Surely if Jesus could handle a group of 12 men, he can help me with 2. "This is getting good," May whisper yells from the other side of the counter. I half expect her to start passing out popcorn and peanuts to her coworkers, a couple of whom have popped their heads out of the back room to watch. It's time to take this show on the road before things get out of hand. I pluck my hand from the bowl of water and turn to Henry. "Can we talk outside?" He smirks at Tristan like he's already won. "Of course." A chorus of disappointed sighs resonates throughout the store. I shoot all the employees a look of exasperation before taking a step away from my chair. I don't get very far, though, because Tristan still has a hold on my shoulders. "I'm coming with you," he declares. "What? Why?" Tristan furrows his thick brows. "Because." I don't know whether I'm more irritated or confused. I expect Tristan to be assertive, but this is too much. "I want to talk to Henry alone." "Yeah, she wants to talk to me alone," Henry repeats in a sing-song voice that has a couple employees giggling. He then takes a receipt out of his pocket and hands it to May. "Which reminds me, I'm here to pick up a ring, which I will be needing when my girlfriend talks to me alone outside." "Oh!" May's brows shoot up high on her forehead as she hands the receipt to her coworker. "We'll get it right away." I stare at Henry in disbelief. He bought a ring? For me? Are you serious? Why else would I have come all the way here? "I thought for your mom's birthday. Or maybe to celebrate a promotion?" "You're good. How'd you know?" He grins. "You're looking at the new regional VP of sales. I got a sizable raise, too. Wait till you see the rock I picked out for you. It's worth 10 times as much as that band you have on." "Here you go, sir." May interrupts us to present a ring box to Henry. My ring box? As she winks at me. "You are a lucky woman. Go and talk to him." Tristan scoffs behind me. His grip on my shoulders has loosened, but he murmurs in my ear, "I'm coming with you." "I'm coming too." This time, it's not Tristan who speaks up, but May. My mouth falls open in surprise. "You want to come too?" "If you are wearing our ring, I must keep an eye on you. She gives me a cheeky grin as she rubs her hands together. I will stand close enough to to see you. We'll both come, Tristan announces with finality. Neither of you is coming. I try to slide the ring off my finger. It's still stuck, no doubt from all the tension building in every cell of my body. With no other choice, I tell May, fine, you can come. Then I turn to Tristan and plead, but I need you to wait here, please. I insist on coming with you. My frustration level has reached the tipping point. Every part of me is boiling hot, even my hand that had been in the ice water. Why does this man love to be so infuriating? Tristan, this doesn't concern you. It's between me and Henry. I don't need you. He flinches like I just struck him. Hurt clouds his eyes before indifference takes over. You're right. I don't know why I'm bothering when this clearly doesn't concern me. He steps away before I can say another word. That's when I see it. The slight sagging of shoulders and the small hesitation in his steps. He does care. A lot. His overreaching is a sign of his protection and concern. He's not being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. I see it now, but it's too late. I feel a hand pulling on my arm and leading me out of the store. Let's go, September. When we reach the exit, Henry calls out over his shoulder. Sales lady, are you coming? You go ahead, May answers above the jingling of the front door's bell. We step out into the sunlight where a gust of wind chills my bare arms and back. I miss the warmth of Tristan's arm around me and wish I hadn't shrugged it off earlier when he'd tried to keep me warm. How foolish and petty I'd been. I'd put up my walls as soon as I thought he didn't care, which is what he had done too, when I unintentionally hurt him. What have I done? I want nothing more than to run back into the store and talk things out with Tristan, but I need to handle this situation with Henry first. Oh, Lord, help. Please help me figure everything out, and to do so in a way that's kind and gracious. So, Henry, I've been thinking. I pause when a couple of cars zoom past us as they find parking spaces in this busy shopping plaza. Henry's shrewd eyes look me up and down as he faces me. You look nice today. You'd have no problem fitting in with the New York scene with a little more makeup. Thanks. I prefer Tristan's version of nice to Henry's any day. Henry's compliment has a tinge of condescension that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. You look nice too. His smile widens. Glad you noticed. I have a very important video conference in 10 minutes. Gotta make a good impression with the client, you know? Wow. Maybe it's fitting that I'm wearing black today, because that's how my heart feels when I look into Henry's eyes. I don't recognize the man who's just gotten down on one knee. What did I ever see in him, besides his ability to charm a room and his passion to go after what he wants? Do I recall him ever being vulnerable with me? Have I ever seen the real him? I can't remember a time when he shared his deepest fears or asked me about mine. He's always talked about the future, but he never once asked for my input. And now he's asking me to marry him? Wait, hold on, Henry. How do you know I'm the right person for you? If we were to get married, do you expect me to move to New York? Where do you see us 5 years from now? Whoa, September. Where is all this coming from? I thought you wanted to get engaged. You bring up the topic every time we talk. Why all the questions? It's not like we have to get married next week. He glances at his watch when it beeps. Can we discuss this later? I'm sure when you see the ring, you won't care about these other details. But I do care. I wish I had cared more sooner. Tears flood my eyes, more from frustration than anything. I can't believe I let myself live in denial for so long. Why hadn't I asked more questions instead of being complacent and letting so much time slip by? I wish I could be upset at Henry, but I'm just disappointed in myself. I shake my head sadly. I'm sure it's a nice ring and you paid a lot. Look! So big! Suddenly, a group of Chinese grandmas gather around Henry to see the diamond solitaire he just whipped out of the box. The stone is so large the glare coming off it from the sunlight makes it hard to stare directly at it. Even still, the ladies are mesmerized and fawning over Henry like he's Frodo who just found the one ring to rule them all. Now they're looking over at me. A few are clutching their hearts in anticipation, and I feel even more pressure to say the right answer. The right answer being, yes, of course I'll marry you, Henry. Because any girl would want a wealthy and successful husband. But I'm not any girl. I'm not even a girl anymore. I'm a 40-year-old woman who may have wandered Middle-earth, that place of complacency and denial, for far too long. But no more. I know what I want now. Or rather, whom I want. I only hope and pray Tristan still wants me. Chapter 12. Tristan. I always thought happiness started with an H, but it turns out mine starts with U. Unknown. I realize too late that I am not cut out to be a spy. My tall frame makes it nearly impossible to peer out the storefront and remain hidden at the same time. But I can't take my eyes off the scene unfolding outside, where the woman of my dreams is being proposed to by the man of my nightmares. My jaw clenches. I can understand Henry's attraction to September, but vice versa? I don't know what she sees in a man so full of himself. But then again, maybe that's what she thinks of me. I realize too late how I must have come across to her earlier. I'll be the first to admit that tact is not my strong suit. Neither is trust. Being vulnerable with September was the hardest thing I've done since being dumped. What's harder still is not knowing if she feels the same, then having to let her walk away with another guy. I earnestly pray this will end well. Yet even if it doesn't, I understand now that God will help me pick up the pieces. I'd just rather not have my heart broken again. I finally find a good lookout spot behind a large standing porcelain vase. From where I'm crouched on the floor, I see September help Henry to his feet. The mere sight of their hands touching makes my stomach churn. What's happening? May appears like a ninja by my side and hands me a receipt. She then nudges me aside to look out the window. Whatever she sees makes her gasp. What is it? She's coming back. The bell on the door chimes and in comes September. Her cheeks are flushed a pretty pink and she's glancing around in search of something. Or someone. Is there a chance she's looking for me? Hello? She turns around in the middle of the store. May? Disappointment fills my gut when I hear her question, but it's quickly replaced with embarrassment when May pops up, waving to September. Yes, miss, I'm here. So is your fake husband. So much for being discreet. I rise to my feet and reluctantly meet September's gaze, bracing myself for the disdain I expect to see in her face. Instead, her eyes are downcast, her expression unsure. She slowly walks over. Hey. Hi. Can we talk? Of course. We both glance at May, who is standing between us, looking much too curious for her own good. September's brows shoot up. Oh, you must be waiting to get the ring back. Nope. May pats her arm and gives her a cheeky grin. You can keep it. He paid for it already. What? September stares at me, her eyes full of questions. Why would you do that? May turns toward me as well, waiting for an answer. I clear my throat and give her a knowing look, which makes her groan, but she gets my signal and leaves. Meanwhile, I step out from behind the vase towards September. It's time to act on my words and walk by faith, no matter what the outcome. I thought you'd deserved some privacy, and I know how much you like the ring, although I'd understand if you don't want it now that you have an engagement ring. I start to cross my arms over my chest, but end up letting them fall to my sides. I've had my walls up for far too long. I don't want to undo the progress September has helped me make, even if being vulnerable with her will be my ultimate undoing. Feel free to do with it what you like. It's yours. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Actually, I'm the one who needs to say more. I release a heavy breath. I apologize for overstepping my bounds earlier. I was trying to help, but who you want to marry is your decision to make. I admit my thoughts on the matter are skewed because of how I feel about you, but that's no excuse for how I acted. Thank you for being honest. She surprises me by taking a step closer. I did guess that you were being bossy because you care about me. Wait, did you call me bossy? Yes. Her long lashes flutter as she gazes up at me. You can be bossy, demanding, and a tad unreasonable at times, Tristan. Only sometimes, though. The other times you are surprisingly sweet. Am I? Her innocent smile steals my breath away. Care to elaborate on that? Are you fishing for compliments now? You better believe I am. A huge smile overtakes her face, and the corners of her light brown eyes crinkle. The sound of September's laughter is like rest for my weary soul. I don't know what I did to deserve her kindness, but I long to bask in it for the rest of my life. Her gaze never leaves my face as she cocks her head to one side. Well, since you asked nicely, I'll start by saying that I think you're fantastic. Her pun has me groaning and grinning at the same time. Good one. You're funny and kind and brave, too. If it wasn't for this research that we had to do together this week, I never would have seen this other side of you. And I really like this side of you. You make me want to be brave, too, and walk in faith, which is why you're the only man I want to be married to. For real. She holds up her left ring finger, the finger still wearing our wedding band. With a hopeful smile, she asks, What do you say? I say you've stolen my line. Never in my life did I imagine I would propose in a jewelry store, but neither did I expect to find love in a fake marriage. But I trust that God's plan and timing are the best. So, with half a dozen employees watching our every move, I drop to one knee. September, will you stop playing pretend with me and be my wife for real? Her eyes fill with tears. Yes! As soon as I stand up, September jumps into my arms and kisses my cheek. Her exuberance surprises me, but only half as much as the warmth of her lips. The instant we touch, sparks fly. Literally. Her static electricity knocks me off balance and propels me backward, right into the vase. Just as a crash fills the air, we tumble to the ground, narrowly missing the broken pieces of porcelain. Loud gasps echo around us as the salesladies rush over, but all I can focus on is the joy in September's eyes, the rising and falling of her chest as she rests on mine, and the intense desire to kiss her. So I do. I cup her face with both hands, then close the space between us. My mouth finds hers, reveling in the taste and feel of her lips. They are new, uncharted territory, yet as familiar and comforting as home. I kiss her like I've never kissed a woman before, with my whole heart, unfettered and free. September matches my passion and then some as she grabs the front of my shirt and pulls me close. This is a kiss of a lifetime, or half a lifetime in my case, but it was worth the wait. She was worth the wait. When September and I finally come up for air to the sound of applause and cheers, I only have one thing to say. I have a feeling the two of us are going to have a lot of fun together. With a cheeky grin, she answers, And a very bright future, too. I couldn't agree more. I'm about to pull September close for another kiss when she gasps out loud. What is it? What's wrong? Our mothers! They're going to disinherit us when we tell them we're getting married. What do they have to be upset about? I'm sure mine will be printing out wedding invitations the minute I tell her about you. You don't understand. Her brows furrow as she explains. Does your mom play mahjong at the senior center every day? Yes. Why? Do you know who she plays with? I think back to the last conversation with my mother. What had she said? Oh, right. That woman is such a sore loser, I can't believe her poor attitude. I pity the man who has Mrs. U for a mother-in-law. I swallow hard. Your mother is Mrs. Yu? She grimaces. The one and only. God help us. September's right. Our mothers are going to flip. I sigh and ask the question on both our minds. So, who do we tell first? Chapter 13. September. It's like no one in my family appreciates that I stayed up all night overthinking for them. Mom. For self-preservation's sake, we decide to talk to Tristan's mother first, but not without some backup. Thank you so much, Berkey. You're a lifesaver. I give my girlfriend a hug as we stand outside her boss's huge mansion in Palo Alto. She just helped me and Tristan load up my sedan with my secret weapon for our meeting. I'm grateful for her coming through on this favor so last minute and for her boss's generosity. Are you sure I can't pay for any of it? Berkeley shakes her head of long black hair. Thanks for offering, but Mr. Shu said it wasn't necessary. And when Mr. Shu says no, there is no changing his mind. Don't worry, he has plenty more in the basement. Enjoy the blessing. Tristan steps forward to shake Berkeley's hand. Thank you. Please thank Mr. Shu for us too, and let him know he has a new consumer for life. New consumer? Berkeley's eyebrows shoot up with disapproval. Does that mean you've never used Moonbeam's products before? Not yet, he admits with a sheepish grin. But that is one error I'll be sure to rectify. I actually prefer using the bidet. Now it's my turn to quirk a brow. You do? I didn't take you for a bidet kind of guy. What else do I not know about you? Plenty. But we have the rest of our lives for you to find out, Laupo. Tristan winks, making my insides melt. He takes my hand and laces his fingers with mine. I can't wait, Laogong. Ever since he proposed yesterday, he's been calling me wifey like we're already married. The act is so endearing. I have half a mind to run to the courthouse and get hitched. Alas, the courthouse is closed on Saturday. I also know better than to deprive my mother of the chance to plan an extravagant wedding banquet. There's also the matter of making sure we don't do anything more to upset either one of our mothers. It's going to be bad enough when they find out their children have crossed enemy lines. On second thought, eloping doesn't sound like such a bad idea right now. Tristan gives my hand a tug. Come on, we better get going. My mother's waiting for us. I throw Berkeley a desperate look. Pray for me. She wraps me up in another hug and whispers in my ear before letting go. Don't worry, Ember. His mom's going to love you. You might not even have to bring out the goods to get her approval. Let's sure hope so. Although I pray my future mother-in-law accepts my unusual gift, I really don't have room in my apartment for 180 rolls of mega toilet paper, which is equivalent to 720 regular rolls, which at 1,000 sheets per roll comes to a grand total of 180,000 three-layer sheets. I think. Toilet paper math is not for the faint of heart. The drive to Mountain View, where Tristan's mother lives, only takes 11 minutes. 11 minutes that I spend half praying and half hyperventilating. At least I don't have to add driving to my to-do list. Tristan was kind enough to take over that responsibility when I handed him my car keys before flopping into the passenger seat. You have nothing to be worried about, Laupo. Tristan reaches over the center console to hold my hand, which I've been keeping heavily moisturized to prevent any more shocking moments. The gentle way he rubs the pad of his thumb along my skin brings me comfort. My mother's a very reasonable person, so long as you're not a vendor trying to haggle her out of a discount or a mahjong player talking smack about her game. My mouth grows dry. But I am the daughter of a mahjong player who talks smack about her game. I'm already enemy number 1 by association. Actually, you're more like enemy number 2 since your mother is number 1. I shoot him an unimpressed side-eye when I see him smirk. You're choosing a time like this to be funny. It's not very funny. Hey, if I've learned anything from our escapades this week, it's that humor is the best for stressful times. Cake is too, but unfortunately, we don't have any at the moment. He adds with a Swedish accent. So you will have to settle for my yolks instead. I shake my head in wonder. Who would have imagined that the uptight and standoffish coworker I've known for the past 5 years could be such a sweet guy beneath it all? And that we would fall in love. I still want to pinch myself whenever I see the beautiful ring on my left hand. Thank you, Laogong. I'll take your jokes over cake any day. He cracks a smile. Even if they're corny. His jaw drops in disbelief. Really? You think I'm corny? I didn't say you were corny, just your jokes. Right. He slows the car down as we turn into a residential neighborhood. A block later, we park in front of a one-story house with blue trim. Tristan turns off the engine and faces me. His deep brown eyes twinkle with amusement. Well, I hope you don't mind marrying a corny guy with corny jokes, because that's what you'll be getting. Not one bit. Your corniness is one of the things I love about you. I lean over and give his cheek a quick smooch. That and your kindness, generosity, and big heart. His chest puffs out with pride. Did you just say you love me? I did. He cups my face and tenderly declares, I love you too. I instantly melt like cheese on a griddle as he draws me near. In the next second, his lips are on mine as we share a deep, long kiss. Time seems to stand still as I forget my worries and cares and dive into the longings of the moment. Lost in our own little world, we're surrounded by the pleasant chirping of birds outside and the fervent squeals of a woman's voice. Huh? Who is that? Tristan pulls back, putting an abrupt end to our kiss. His eyes widen as he focuses his attention on the passenger side window behind me. Clearing his throat, he motions for me to turn around. Laupo, we've got company. From the serious tone of his voice, I assume his mother is on the other side of the glass. Heat rushes up my neck and lands in the apples of my cheeks. I'm mortified. This is not the way I envisioned our first meeting, with my lips all over her son. Is there any way I can convince her I was saving Tristan's life by giving him mouth-to-mouth? Daughter! What is going on here? Wait, I recognize that voice calling out to me in Mandarin. It's my mother. But what in the world is she doing here? I spin around in my seat and come face to face with a pair of brown eyes as light as my own. It's an image of how I imagine myself looking in 25 years, except for the fiery red complexion. I suddenly feel decades younger, but not in a I just got Botox way. More like a I missed curfew and got caught sneaking into the house way. Or so I imagine. The thing is, I've never actually gotten such a disapproving look from my mother before. I've always been the obedient, Sunday school-ready child. Yet here I am at midlife, finally giving my mother a reason for a heart attack. My own heart races to see her clutching her chest as she looks at me and Tristan in bewilderment. Boy, do I have some explaining to do. I exit the car and hold up my hands in a gesture of peace. Ma, please calm down. There's a perfectly good reason. There better be. Imagine how surprised I was to see your car parked here. But then I looked inside the window and saw you kissing that man? Who is he? What happened to Henry? She waggles a finger at the back seat. And why do you keep so much treasure in your car? Is that your stash of toilet paper that you keep hidden for yourself? No, Ma, it's not for me. It's for my fiancé's mother. Fiancé? She crosses her arms over her chest, bunching up the sleeves of her red cardigan in the process. Henry finally proposed to you? Then why are you kissing this stranger? The sound of a car door slamming cuts her off. Or maybe it's Tristan's appearance as he rounds the front of the car and saunters up next to me. His presence tends to do that to women. Chinese mothers are no exception. I watch in awe as my mother's features soften and her mouth falls open. She giggles like a schoolgirl as Tristan offers her his hand. Yi. He addresses her as Auntie in perfect Mandarin. It's so nice to meet you. I see where September gets her good looks from. My, aren't you a sweet talker? So tall and handsome, too? She turns to me quickly. Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend? Oh, right. Ma, this is Tristan. He asked me to marry him yesterday. I'm sorry I didn't tell you yet, but everything happened so quickly. I was going to call you today to let you know and also bring him by to meet you and Ba. I paused to gauge her reaction. Her silence makes me wonder if she's in shock or denial. She must have 1,000,001 questions, especially about what happened to my ex. I know this is a lot to take in at once. If you're wondering about Henry... Henry? Who's Henry? My mother balks. I want to hear about Tristan. How tall are you? Where are your parents from? I'm 5'11 and a half, he replies without blinking an eye. I can tell he's had a lot of experience being interrogated by Asian moms. With his smooth, confident voice, he has my mother hanging on to his every word. My father is from Shanghai, and my mother's from Fujian. My mother claps her hands. How wonderful! September's father and I are from Shanghai as well. I'm sure you will give us tall and beautiful Shanghainese grandchildren. Ma! I do a facepalm. Can we not talk about kids yet? It's a little soon for that. Fine. We can discuss it tomorrow if you don't want to talk about it now. That's not what I meant. Oh, never mind. My mother's on too much of a roll to be rerouted now. She's like the Energizer Bunny. Loud, purposeful, and non-stop. I give Tristan a sheepish smile and hope he doesn't change his mind about marrying me. To my relief, he wraps his arm around my waist and pulls me close. His words from the jewelry store come back to mind. I'm ready to conquer my fears and walk in faith. I want to do it with you, September. Well, we're certainly getting our first chance at living out Tristan's wish. I'm so thankful we're facing my mother together. Tell me more, she continues. What do you do for a living? How much do you make? What retirement plan do you have? Ma, please. I cannot believe my mother is going there. Or maybe I can. She's always talking about financial stability and planning for the future. I suppose it's understandable, given the hardships that she and my father went through when they immigrated to the U.S. But this is a bit much for the first meeting. I should have prepped Tristan better for this interrogation and had him watch Law and Order reruns. My shoulders tense as I wonder how to best diffuse the situation. I turn to Tristan with the most apologetic expression I can muster. I'm so sorry. I'm not, he murmurs back with a dimpled grin. Don't worry. I've got this. He's all smiles as he answers my mother. Ayi, you don't have to worry about anything. September and I both have good, stable jobs. I have a 401k, as well as a strong investment portfolio. Most importantly, we have faith that God will provide for all our needs. I promise you that I will take good care of your daughter. I know how precious she is to you. She deserves the best, and she will have that with me. My mother taps her foot and humphs, but she keeps quiet, which is nothing short of a miracle. Apparently, I have an Asian mother whisperer for a fiancé. It's hard to argue with Tristan, though, when he has the charisma of Tony Leung and Simu Liu combined. I can picture my mother's invisible claws retracting and almost hear her purring from contentment. I give Tristan a beaming smile and mouth. Good job, Lao Gong. He wiggles his brows as if to say, I told you so. He holds his head up high as he continues. Ayi, please know that you and Uncle are welcome to come over to our home any time you like to see September. My jaw drops. We can even set aside a guest room. Tristan's brows shoot up in surprise. Oops, I might have elbowed him a little too hard. Thank you, dear. I think my mother gets the gist of what you're saying. I do! My mother's eyes light up with delight. Thank you, Tristan, for the generous offer. We will discuss what kind of mattress we want for our room later. Great, Tristan replies, turning to me with a sheepish look. He mouths the word, sorry. I offer him a grateful smile. You can't fault the guy for trying, but this is definitely one topic we'll have to table for now until we can have a good old discussion about boundaries. At least this meeting so far has gone better than I expected. All the more reason to end the conversation sooner than later before there's a chance for things to go sideways. I rack my mind for how to move on when I recall the original question I had asked my mother. "Ma, you never told us what you're doing here." She sighs. "Oh, yes. The senior center's bathroom is flooded, so we cannot meet there today. Mrs. Hu invited us to come over to her house to play." Lowering her voice, she touts an unimpressed tone. "She said we will get to meet her son and his new fiancé. It sure makes you wonder what kind of woman would marry a writer. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Why are the two of you here?" We... My throat constricts, making it hard to speak. I should have known this meet and greet was too easy. This situation is like 1,000 moments of writer's block rolled into one. Desperation and frustration gnaw at my insides. How do I tell my mother that her daughter is the kind of woman who's going to marry a writer? Just when I think things couldn't possibly get worse, out walks an older Chinese woman from the house in front of us. She has dimples like Tristan and the brightest grin on her face when she sees him. "Son, you're here!" she calls out. "Son!" My mother squeaks as her eyes turn into saucers. She points an accusing finger at Tristan. "You're Mrs. Hu's son?" Realization dawns on her as she turns to me. "You're his fiancé?" Gulp. Forget eloping. Going into the witness protection program sounds like a safer choice now. Chapter 14. Tristan. My mother told me 1,000,000 times not to exaggerate. Unknown.
Awkward doesn't even begin to describe our current situation. Try maddening, absurd, and laughable. It took September and me approximately 7.5 minutes to talk our mothers into calling a truce long enough for them to stop arguing. Then another 3 minutes to persuade them to take their discussion off the sidewalk. They continued to grumble about the change of venue when a couple of birds sitting in a nearby sycamore tree started filing their complaints. Even now, as we sit inside my mother's living room, we can hear their incessant chirping outside the window.
"Wah!"
Mrs. Yu exclaims from her end of the couch.
"The birds in your neighborhood are so noisy. How can you stand it, Mrs. Hu?"
My mother humphs from the other side. With her arms crossed, she glances past September and me, who are seated in between them like referees at a boxing match.
"They have never been this noisy before, Mrs. Yu. It must be your presence that is provoking them."
"Ma." I lay a hand on top of my mother's and give her a pleading smile. With a head full of naturally gray hair and a floral blouse on, she looks like the grandmotherly type, but her pout reminds me of a 5-year-old's. "Please help me out," I urge her under my breath. "She's my future mother-in-law. Can you lay aside your personal differences and help me make a good impression?"
"A good impression?"
She scoffs loudly. So much for hoping she'd be discreet. Her cheeks darken as she throws Mrs. Yu a side-eye.
"Why do you need to impress her? She should be thankful to be getting such a handsome and caring son-in-law like you."
Mrs. Yu gasps and juts her chin out with indignation.
"I am. I just can't believe that he's part of your family. Good manners must have skipped a generation."
"Ma!" It's September's turn to gasp. She peers past me and offers my mother an apologetic shake of her head.
"I'm so sorry, Ayi. Please don't take what my mother says to heart. She doesn't mean it like that."
My mother nods matter-of-factly.
"Thank you. I'm so glad you're much more reasonable than someone else in this room." "I heard that."
With a wave of her hand, Mrs. Yu scoffs.
"Why did you apologize for me, daughter? If I'm wrong, I can apologize myself. You don't need to apologize for me. Go ahead, then."
My mother pipes up.
"I'm waiting." "I said if I'm wrong. I'm still waiting."
September's shoulders slump as she and I trade exasperated glances. The verbal sparring going past our heads is as harmless as spitballs flying across a classroom, but still unpleasant. There's no doubt about it. Our mothers are out of control. How exactly are we supposed to rein them in, much less help them get along? I pray for guidance and wisdom, and for the Lord to show me how to best bring peace to this family. Because we are going to be one family very soon, and I'd like our future gatherings to be more enjoyable than a root canal. I stand up and reach for September's hand. Come on, Laupo. We need to talk. She follows my lead as we walk over to the other side of the room. Once we reach the far corner, where the mahjong table is set up, she looks up at me. Her eyes well up with tears as she squeezes my fingers. What do we do? This is turning out worse than I imagined. Our mothers hate each other. There's no way to soften the truth but to agree. They do, but at least they don't hate us. My mother likes you, and your mother likes me. That's half the battle that we've won already. I know, and thank God for that. She pauses, a line forming between her brows. But what about getting them to like each other? Her worried expression makes my chest ache. I can't stand seeing anything dampen her sunny disposition. As cheesy as it sounds, I want to do everything I can to turn her frown upside down. I want to be the man she thinks I am, strong and resistant, like the cheese found buried with those Chinese mummies, only not as pungent. But how? How do I get our mothers to be on the same page? My gaze falls on the mahjong table a foot away. The square surface is similar to a card table's, but with a lip around the edge to prevent the tiles from falling off while shuffling. There are also cup holders built in at each corner, and the comfiest folding chairs with memory foam cushions. Before my father passed, he'd had them custom made for my mother, because he said his queen deserved the best. Apparently, my mother took his nickname for her to heart, because she's acting like pampered royalty. But she's not the only one who likes to be treated well. Despite how much they look down on each other, our mothers actually have a lot in common. It suddenly dawns on me how we can get these feuding heads of state to form an alliance. I've got it. September's eyes narrow with concern. What have you got? She asks with caution. Are you feeling all right? You didn't catch a bug, did you? Not a bug, just a dose of brilliance. I quip as I give her a playful wink. Tell me, Laupo, how good are you at mahjong? Not to brag or anything, but I've been playing and winning since I was 6. Why? Her cheeky grin makes me chuckle. Good, because I have an idea that will convince our mothers to work together, and it's going to require a little competition. That sounds exciting. I can't wait. Come on. I lead September back across the room to where our mothers are still sitting on either end of the couch. They have their arms crossed and backs to each other, both wearing pouty expressions, as if the other person owes them money. Lots of it. I blow out a deep breath. We have our work cut out for us, but if anyone can bring these two together, it's September and me. We overcame our differences and the various obstacles we faced this past week. Surely, with the Lord's help, we can bring these two enemies together. Ma, Ayi, I address them in a respectful tone. September and I would like to play mahjong with you while you wait for the other aunties to arrive. But instead of money, we have a much bigger prize on the line. Both mothers shift in their seats and cock their heads toward me. Mrs. Yu offers me a challenging nod. What prize is better than money? Yes, what do you have in mind, son? My mother adds with suspicion. The top 2 players will split the stash of moonbeam toilet paper we brought with us today. Our mothers clutch their chests and gasp in delight. That's enough toilet paper for 5 to 6 months, Mrs. Yu exclaims. Not just 6 months. If you use it wisely, you can make it last a whole year, my mother retorts. But why do we need to split it? Why can't the top winner get it all? Because we'll be playing in teams. September and me against the 2 of you. Ah-ya! They yell out in unison. What a bad idea! Actually, September jumps in with a smile. It's a good idea. You 2 are much better at mahjong than Tristan and I are, so there's a higher chance that one of you will win. And when one person wins, both win. Isn't that right, Laogong? I wrap my arm around September's shoulders and pull her close. Exactly. Well said, Laupo. Mrs. Yu furrows her thin brows, not looking at all convinced. September is a good player, too.
Why can't I be on the same team with her and you and your mother on one team?
I appreciate the thought, Ai, but now that your daughter and I are engaged, it's important that we learn how to work together. And to be honest, I'm not that great at mahjong. I don't want to hold my mother back from winning. It's in her best interest to be on your team.
Really?
Mrs. Yu's gaze flits from my face to my mother's.
Is that true, Mrs. Hu? I'm afraid so. My son is good at many things, but mahjong is not one of them.
My mother sighs.
All right. I've made up my mind. I will allow Mrs. Yu to be on my team. Your team.
Indignation colors Mrs. Yu's cheeks.
No. It's my team. I'm allowing you to be on my team.
September holds her hands up.
You know what? Why don't we call it the winning team, because that's what you're both going to do. And in order to win, we better start playing.
We usher them quickly over to the small table, and we all take our seats, with September and me sitting on opposite sides from each other. As soon as we dump the game pieces onto the table, all 144 of them, their squabbling stops. The clinking of acrylic tiles resonates within the room as we shuffle and place them in 4 equal stacks. It's a sound as timeless as the 1980s wood paneling on the living room walls, a look that millennials have the gall to describe as vintage. I'm feeling young and chipper, though, as we take turns throwing the dice. Soon, we determine who's the dealer and our respective table positions. Mrs. Yu and I trade seats, so I end up on September's right. As soon as I sit down, she gives me a flirty smile and nudges my foot with her bare one. The touch sparks a flash of electricity, making us both jump in our seats.
Sorry,
she murmurs out of the corner of her mouth.
I didn't think to put lotion on my feet.
It's okay, I mutter beneath my breath. The frown on September's face tugs at my heart, and I want nothing more than to reassure her. Carefully, though. I walk my fingers across the smooth tabletop toward her hand resting in the corner between us. Those long, slender fingers look innocent enough, but I know better. Bracing myself for impact, I quickly tap her index finger with mine. Whew, no sparks. I release a huge sigh of relief, then wrap my hand around hers.
Son,
my mother declares with annoyance.
We're all waiting for you.
Oh, right. Sorry. It's my turn to draw 4 tiles from one of the stacks, which I promptly do. Speed is a necessity in mahjong, and I fix my attention on the game so I don't miss my next turn. It's a losing battle, however, when September's foot sidles up to mine again. The lingering touch heats up my whole body and makes it hard to focus. She, on the other hand, doesn't miss a beat. It's not fair. Somehow she has no problems playing footsies and mahjong at the same time. I flash her a wide-eyed, pleading look. If she keeps this up, we won't stand a chance at winning. Not that I plan on fighting hard for the toilet paper, but it would be nice to provide a semblance of competition for our mother's sakes.
Son-in-law, it's your turn.
Mrs. Yu, who is sitting on my right, taps my arm to get my attention. Zap! I bolt in my chair from her touch. So that's where September gets her superpower from. I gulp down my shock. With electric forces on both sides of me, obviously one more pleasant than the other, I give my head a hard shake. Focus. Eyes on the prize, Hu. This game could make or break the foundation of September's and my future together. I won't be going down without a fight. The important thing is that September and I are on the same side. By God's grace, we'll get our mothers to join us before this day is over. The next hour passes by painfully slow. Slower than the hours I spent in after-school SAT classes memorizing the definitions to words I have never used a day in my life. Nearly as depressing. The mood around the table is somber and grim. This is possibly the quietest I've ever seen my mother during a game. Mrs. Yu is just as apathetic. The one bright side to all of this is that they've at least stopped arguing. I wonder if they've lost their will to live, too. Hey, I'm sure one of us will get a big win soon. My words do little to console the older women, who look like they'd rather use the toilet paper prize to mummify me. At least none of us have lost a lot of money. September flashes me a hopeful grin.
That's a great point, Tristan. It's a good thing you only had a chicken hand for the last game.
I force out a smile. Out of the 3 games we've played so far, 2 ended without a winner when the unused tiles ran out. I won the 3rd game, but with the saddest hand possible, one that barely meets the minimum requirements needed to be considered valid. At this point, I question whether playing mahjong together is making the situation better or worse. If there's ever a time for an existential crisis, it's now. My mother throws a hand to her forehead and sighs.
I would rather be playing at the senior center and not be able to use the bathroom all day. This game is a waste of time.
Mrs. Yu nods like a bobblehead going over a speed bump.
You are so right, Mrs. Hu. This is worse than last Christmas when they served us that hard brown cake. I almost broke my dentures on that thing. Oh, I forgot about that. It was so dry and sweet and heavy as a rock. I used the leftovers I brought home for a doorstop. A doorstop!
September's mother offers mine an enthusiastic thumbs up.
Why didn't I think of that? I will keep that in mind for this year. Maybe sneak in an extra piece or 2.
The women continue their conversation about the various uses of expired fruitcake as we play. I sit by quietly and try not to stare, but it's hard not to when I'm literally witnessing a miracle. Is this really happening? Are our mothers actually getting along? Perhaps this game isn't such a bad idea after.
Zuma!
Oh no. That happy cry of victory doesn't come from either one of our mothers' lips. No, sir. The young, lively, and sweet voice belongs to none other than my dear wife-to-be, who's raising her hands in the air like she just doesn't care. Oh, but I do, because from the way her light brown eyes are sparkling with delight, I can tell she has a big hand. And being that this is the last round of our game, she and I, not our mothers, will be the winners of the prized toilet paper.
Look!
September flips her tiles over for the grand reveal.
I can't believe I drew the winning tile myself.
We all lean in to get a closer look. One by one, our mouths fall open. September's hand is incredibly rare. All the tiles are of the same suit, and not only that, each meld is a pong of 3 identical tiles. Add in the feat of having 0 character tiles and flower tiles, and she's earned herself the highest score possible. Given that mahjong is a game of skill, strategy, and luck, I'd say she's the most skilled, strategic, and luckiest woman at this table. And without doubt, the happiest. My mother slumps down in her chair, while September's mother covers her eyes.
Ay-ya!
They both cry.
No more moonbeam toilet paper! Oh.
September's smile disappears.
I really didn't mean to win. I had no idea I would. It wasn't like I was trying.
Our mothers give her an unbelieving stare.
That hard?
September finishes sheepishly. She takes a deep breath and tucks her hair behind her ear.
Ma, Ayi.
She addresses our mothers with a respectful nod.
You can have the toilet paper. Please take it. Tristan and I don't care whether or not we win. What we do care about is for the 2 of you to get along, because it would mean everything to us to be able to get married with your blessing. Tristan and I love each other, and we want to spend the rest of our lives together. That means our 2 families will be spending a lot of time together, too. Chinese New Year, our birthdays, Mid-Autumn Moon Festival, Thanksgiving, Christmas. We want to celebrate all these occasions with you. But if the 2 of you don't like each other...
She glances at me and winks so quickly I almost miss it.
Maybe the 2 of us shouldn't get married.
I suck in a sharp breath of surprise before I feel September's foot nudge mine. A quick look her way confirms my suspicions. She has a plan up her sleeve and wants me to play along. September's right. I drop her hand and cross my arms over my chest. My expression sobers as I address our mothers. Maybe it's better that we call this wedding off. It's a shame, though, because September and I were looking forward to giving you grandchildren. But if it's going to be a hardship for you... My mother cuts me off with a wave of her hand.
Nonsense! We are not calling off this wedding. Mrs. Yu and I are the best of friends, isn't that right, Mrs. Yu? Yes, absolutely right, Mrs. Hu. Where did you get the idea that we don't like each other? We are such good friends we can't wait to see each other every day.
She punctuates her words with a clap of her hands.
She is the best mahjong player I know. No, you are. Aya, don't be so kitschy. You are the best.
September and I watch as our mothers fight to compliment each other. We hold back our smiles and shake our heads in wonder. Maybe the squabbling won't ever stop with these two, but at least we've gotten them out of enemy territory. They're so caught up in outdoing each other, they don't even notice when the doorbell rings. We'll get it, I offer as I motion for September to follow me. It must be the other aunties coming for mahjong. This is our chance to make a break for it.
Oh, what a relief. That was getting insane.
She grabs my hand and gives it a squeeze.
I'm so ready to get out of here.
When we reach the front door, we let the two older ladies in and direct them to the living room. The sounds of our mothers' voices fade as we walk out into the midday sunshine. That was a brilliant idea, Laupo. She pretends to curtsy.
It was good, wasn't it? Thanks for playing along. I was hoping you'd catch on. You know I'd never call off our wedding, right? I'd never leave you, Laogong. You and me, as long as God allows, are going to be stuck together for life.
I know. I have no doubts about where you stand. I open the passenger door for her, then slip into the car from the driver's side. Planting a firm kiss on her lips, I declare, I'm privileged and honored to be stuck with you, September, for the rest of our lives. She beams.
Good. I hope you don't mind the boatload of toilet paper that's coming with me.
Not at all. But I have to ask, how do you prefer to hang yours? Over or under?
Over, of course.
Her brows rise at my silence.
Don't tell me you prefer under.
I turn the engine on and pull away from the curb. You know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to roll with it. She groans loudly and gives me the most beautiful smile. A smile that perfectly captures my joy on this mid-September day. I have no doubt that this is the start of something just as beautiful. A life spent with my September, our toilet paper, and me. What could be better than that?
Epilogue. September. A good marriage is one where each partner secretly suspects they got the better deal. Unknown. 9 shockingly easy steps to budget-friendly vow renewals, written by September Who. How to celebrate your marriage without breaking the bank. Finding the person you want to spend the rest of your life with is no easy feat, but neither is being married. That's why vow renewals are so important, for honoring your union and recommitting yourself to your spouse, no matter how long you've been married. Now, assuming you've already had your dream wedding, let's talk about how to get remarried on a budget. Step 1. Define your budget. Decide as a couple how much money both of you are willing to spend on this joyous occasion. I repeat, both of you. Step 2. Track your spending. Create a spreadsheet of estimated and actual expenses. Then focus on the actual because that's what will actually be coming out of your bank account. Step 3. Make a list of must-haves versus nice-to-haves. Then set aside the latter and be happy you'll be saving yourselves a lot of money. Step 4. Make a guest list. Don't forget to include your colleagues, but do forget to include any exes. Step 5. Visit vendors and obtain quotes. When you go cake tasting, be sure to feed each other. Trust me, it's more romantic this way. Step 6. Be flexible. For example, consider holding the ceremony in your backyard instead of renting a venue. Or rewear your wedding dress instead of buying a new one, unless you absolutely cannot stand to be swallowed whole by a lacy piranha and must find a new style instead. Step 7. Do it yourself. Watch YouTube tutorials on how to make your own bouquet or invitations. Ask a friend to do your makeup and hair. But whatever you do, don't go down the rabbit hole known as Pinterest, unless you never want to sleep again. Step 8. Watch out for hidden costs, such as an increase in your car insurance or the money needed to replace a broken vase. It's a long story. Step 9. Keep it simple. Enough said. With these 9 steps, you should have no problem staying on budget and planning a vow renewal that's on par with the best of them. Above all, as the pastor said on my wedding day, did you catch my new byline? Aim to make the ceremony memorable for the two of you, so that days, weeks, months, and years from now, when you think of that day, you'll remember every little detail. The hush of the crowd when you walk in wearing the most beautiful, almost light as a feather gown. The teary smile on the groom's face the moment you reach him and take his hand. Each line of the personalized vows you wrote for each other. And all the punny inside jokes contained within. And the sweet, satisfying kiss you shared as husband and wife that made your friends cheer way too loud. When you remember every little detail, you'll thank the Lord that you took a chance on opening your heart up to a dashingly handsome, yet grumpy man who later on becomes your best friend and the love of your life. And that, dear readers, was how I made my one vow for September. Now, on to the big question. To hyphenate my maiden and married names, or not? Yoo-hoo does have a nice ring to it, don't you think? This has been Joined at the Hip, written by Liwen Y. Ho, narrated by Skye Ali.
The end. Thank you so much for listening to this audiobook. To find out more about Liwen Y. Ho's other books, please visit her website at liwenho.com. And be sure to subscribe to this channel so you'll be notified when a new audiobook releases.